the hood and in linking the governor in any way with the alleged bombing of his house in Lukenya area on the 21st of this month. He has also been asked to desist from calling Muthui names. Muthui wants Mwangi be compelled to apologize to him for linking him to the attack. The case will be heard before Judge George Odunga on November 4th this year. Now, parents who take their children to early childhood development centers from the age of 2 years go against the Ministry of Education's guidelines. Basic Education Director General Elias Abdi says the national curriculum requires children to start attending ECD at 4 years. Abdi noted that most parents in urban areas take their children to care centers at the age of 2 years, further stating that as a ministry, they regulate and give licenses to institutions and specify the time these children should go to ECD. He also lauded teachers who handle children at the centers, saying they contribute positively to their upbringing. Now, Laikipia County government has condemned the alleged cover-up of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, a 21-year-old mother who was killed by a British soldier in Nanyuki 9 years ago. Governor Ndiritu Murithi said the murder of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki is distressing and unacceptable. He says that for one of the soldiers to murder a young mother and literally get away with it for 9 years is unthinkable and contemptuous of our hospitality. The county government demanded for justice for the late Wanjiru, calling for quick action against the perpetrator of the crime. Residents of Magarini in Kilifi County and its environs continue to starve despite the government launching a plan to distribute food aid in the country. Residents say the distribution of food was not done fairly, and some claiming that it did not reach them entirely. Some of those that received food aid say they received portions that would not last them long during the drought period. And Jamaican reggae star Etana has landed in the country ahead of the Pamoja Festival to be held in Nairobi at the Ngong Rescue Waterfront on the 30th of October 2021. We caught up with her at the airport, and this is what she said about her song Malaika.
Malaika has a message to me that's deeper than just a man wanting to marry a woman but not having enough. Because as a people, and especially throughout our journey and life in America, Jamaica, throughout the Caribbean, a lot of people started from nothing, went through a whole lot of hardship, and came all the way up from nothing to a whole lot. And that is what Malaika means to me. You know, not just about one man wanting to marry a woman not having enough. There are many people across the world who started from nothing, had to marry, you know, in nothing and build it to something great. And that's what Malaika means. All right, I'm ready. I'm not afraid, even though you broke. Not the sort of person. Oh no, I'm ready. Let's go.
Vibes Radio and Standard Media Group is part of her performance on the 30th of October 2021.
Vibes Radio, go and play the music, go and keep up the vibes. Yes to the vibes. I'm Etana and you're locked into Vibes Radio. Thank you to everybody here in Kenya. We are ready to perform. The show is going to be a show, and I am ready for the party. Where you say no curfew, we party till morning. Ready? All right, I'm ready, because I'm not afraid, even though you broke. I'm not the sort of person. Oh no, I'm ready. Let's go.
Be sure to be part of a performance on the 30th only, right here on Standard Media Group, as we'll be bringing you everything that pertains to that festival. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
If I'm found guilty, there is no problem. I'm willing to serve. I have no problem. Jails are meant for human beings.
They say a society gets the leadership it deserves. If you have a corrupt, crooked and rotten society like we have in Kenya, then of course they will get that kind of a leadership.
I think the president should dissolve parliament. That's the best solution at this moment in time. Dissolve parliament.
All of you go home.
Yes, we all go home.
How are we encouraging other people who might have new and creative ideas? Young people who are making money without any government help. They are just buying their own bundles. They are going on TikTok and making money. KRA is coming after them.
I've been in parliament for 15 years. We have been unable to pass the gender law. And yet no presidential candidate is talking about it now. Because we are fake. The truth is, all the men refused to vote for that law.
What did Sonko do to Pumwani maternity hospital?
Yeah, he
with
cleaned
his
it up.
own money.
Cleaned it with his own money. That was him as an individual.
Yeah.
And I did not say he was cleaning his own money. I was saying he cleaned
Foot, mouth. Foot, mouth. Eric.
Okay.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
SpiceFM, Nyeri.
Okay, it is smack dab in the middle of the week, and let's look at what the roads are looking like. Joggo Road is already building up, getting into the city centre this morning. Getting to Landis Road and around the Kamkunji roundabout, we're going to see it slow down considerably. And that seems to be just about the size of it where there is traffic this morning. Okay, not quite. Let's look at the Thika Superhighway where it's building up, going towards Muthui Square, and at that Pangani underpass, it's going to pick up some, then joining with Kiambu Road, which has already started to build up right now. Other parts of the city, free and clear, not too much of an issue, at least not right now. We will see a traffic build-up on Mombasa Road, which has already started. You know, the rumblings of that are happening right now. Coming out of Westerns as well, towards that whole Mudangari area, and then onto Wayaki Way. Still flowing for now. It's likely to clog up some, so if you've not left yet, you might want to think about then coming out and then joining with the Red Hill Link Road. All right, we'll look at more options in a while, but for now, the morning has just begun. And traffic, those who got out already out, and those who are planning to, might get stuck, but we'll keep an eye on things for you. And those who can let us know, do let us know on SpiceFMKE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Are you ready? Okay.
Spice FM. This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
Good morning. How are you doing? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation, Wednesday, 27th of October, 2021. The year is coming to an end. Just like that. It'll be December. It'll be 31st of December and 2022. 2022. Tutabadilisha hii Kenya. 2022. Now it'll be here. City, good morning.
Good morning, Eric.
How you doing?
I am doing well.
Very good.
Yes.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, man.
Ndu.
Yes.
How you doing?
Thank you. How are you? How are things in the kingdom of Eric?
They're good. They're good. They're good.
Super duper.
Yeah, it's good. I just said I remembered I used to be in an a cappella band.
Did you? Oh, wow. Drop us a tune, won't you?
25 years ago.
Why did you leave?
Circumstances.
Oh, beyond your control.
You know? Circumstances. We were actually a group. We met at church in South B. And then we started just doing a cappella. Of course, any bass person in an a cappella, their role is just to do bum, bum.
That's what you used to do,
bum, bum. And then everybody else is just singing. God is standing by. So hush, don't you worry, don't cry. God, you know that song?
I know that song.
Yeah.
Yes, I do. No, you're killing people.
Huh?
They'll be asking you to sing every day now.
Hey.
Will you do it?
Yes.
Will?
Just remind me a song. Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. We have very many conversations today. The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is ongoing. Okay? So, it culminates on the 31st, and this is this Sunday. And this is when the physical marathon will be run. Because of COVID-19, they're restricting the number of people who will participate in the physical marathon to what? 3,000? Was it? But then anybody can participate in the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon because there's a virtual run.
Yes.
All you need to do is register for the virtual run, and it started on Monday between the 25th and the 30th of October. You can run. So you register, choose where you want to run, choose. You want to do a 5, 10, 15, not 15, 5, 10, 21 or 42. You download the Strava app on your phone, and then you log on the time and you submit that to the organizers. Then you're ranked. So people have been doing this. People are running from wherever they are. You can even do this in China and just send in your results.
Isn't that so cool, though?
Yeah, you can run the Nairobi Marathon from the comfort of your city or town or village.
I think that's really excellent. I don't know if it's been done anywhere else in the world like this.
There have been some virtual marathons, but now this one we can take ownership and say the Nairobi Marathon is a global marathon run virtually everywhere in the world.
It's beautiful. I love it.
It's fantastic. So we'll have two people who have participated in marathons before. One of them is the legendary Henry Wanyoike. He'll be here with us. And then there'll be another runner. She will also be joining him in the conversation. That is one conversation. Second conversation we're going to have. We've talked about this many times. NMS came in. NMS has done a lot of work. NMS has built 17 new health facilities in just a span of 1 year. The person who's in charge of this, and this is the PS for health in the NMS, Dr. Omoluga, will be joining us in the conversation this morning. We'll ask him, tell us more about these facilities. At 8, another conversation. And this is with regards to another CSI conversation. Yeah? CSI?
It's CSI.
What about CSI?
That's what it is. Well, we'll be looking at the importance of crime scenes investigations and the importance of preserving and how to preserve evidence. Because essentially, going into, cases that present themselves in court, what I've been hearing a lot, lack of evidence, didn't present itself in this manner, that or the other thing. So we're looking at crime scene management, the importance of preservation of evidence. Right. And we'll have folks from the National Police Service as well as the Independent Medical Legal Unit.
The interesting bit about such a conversation is that you're also discussing how to tamper with evidence.
Right.
That's it. This conversation is both interesting to you as a perpetrator or a victim. So
Indeed.
Make sure that you tune in at 8. 9, we go back to the conversation we were having yesterday. Voter registration and what is happening. We'll have youth
Or not happening.
in the studio, and we'll seek to understand why is it that this target market is not turning up to register as voters. What are the many reasons? Yeah, so keep it right here for that. COVID-19.
All right, let's look at those numbers. Let's look at world numbers now. We've increased by 1 million cases over the last week. I know we looked at the number 244 million yesterday, just at the brink of 245, and that's where we are now, 245,275,490. I spoke to a friend of mine yesterday who is the New York Public Service Commissioner, and she said to me that in as much as COVID-19 numbers are dropping in the big cities, New York, where she works for the government, that in public federal buildings, the rules are extremely tight, more than you would actually believe it. So you have to have your mask on. You cannot go anywhere as a public servant right now, or in a federal public building if you're not wearing your mask. So I think I thought that was interesting to hear, because whereby you thought that people are just getting vaccinated and are able to walk about free as air. They're really serious about this, and it's now becoming part of legislation. We see this in other, especially Western European countries, whereby you can't go into a public place, you cannot access public buildings if you're not wearing a mask. Number 2, you cannot, as an employee, private or public, interestingly enough, operate without having been vaccinated fully. So get on that train and get it done, because protection is key. Let's look at what's happening in the country right now, with a positivity rate of still 1.2%, the other day, is what we saw. 3 new deaths, 151 tested positive. That's been the highest number in the last couple of days. But that's what we're looking at now. And still trying to get as many vaccines up there. Are you bored yet, or do you want to know just how far we are in terms of vaccinations in the country? Okay, according to the Ministry of Health, latest numbers so far, with 8,500,000 vaccines still having come into the country so far. What has been administered, at least up until this point, is now we've been able to cross that 5 million mark. 5,029,901 people have been vaccinated so far. All right. Positivity rate rose slightly yesterday to 2.1%, but the clarion call continues to be come out and get vaccinated. Okay. County vaccines, we're still seeing Nairobi with the highest, followed by Kiambu and Nakuru following after that. Nyeri, Murang'a, Machakos, Kisumu, Washington, Gishu, Mombasa and Kirinyaga are the top 10 counties. And we're seeing with, even much less in counties from Garissa to Samburu, Mandera, Isiolo, Lamu, Wajir, Tana River and Marsabit, with 6% and less in terms of their county populations. So the call is still to come out, get vaccinated, do this thing and be protected. That's what's coming from the Ministry of Health. And let's see what happens in the next coming months.
Listen, if you haven't gotten vaccinated, find out where you can get vaccinated, okay? Just take it upon yourself, find out where you can get vaccinated, go get the vaccine. If you've got any concerns about the vaccine, go speak to a medical professional and share your concerns and let them address them. Please, at least do something about it. It's 17 minutes after 6. We are live streaming on SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, www.spicefm.co.ke. So let's take this break. How is the weather looking like around the country? We shall hear that, and then we'll look at the newspaper headlines. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Did you know that stepping on, touching, or picking things at the scene of a crime may not only contaminate the evidence but also implicate you in a crime? Did you know that a person, including police officers, who interferes or tampers with evidence or the scene of crime commits an offense that is punishable by up to 5 years in prison? Did you know that a case is won or lost at a crime scene, which means that proper collection and preservation of evidence is crucial?
This message is brought to you by the Independent Medical Legal Unit and the National Police Service.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*1# to read the Standard e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date for a reliable source with over 100 years of experience with no additional data charges.
The weather with SpiceFM.
We're looking at cloudy conditions in Nairobi this morning. We'll see highs of 25 and lows of 14, a chance of rain later on. In Nakuru, 13 degrees and clear, highs of 24. 24 would also be the high in Nyeri, where it's raining this morning at 14. It's mostly clear in Eldoret at 13, highs of 25 and lows of 12. In Mombasa, rain showers in some parts at 24, highs of 29, and we'll see lows of 24 today. While in Malindi at 27, it's also a rainy morning, highs of 29 and lows of 25. Okay, in Kisumu, mostly clear conditions at 20, highs of 31 and lows of 19, while in Kakamega at 15 degrees, clear conditions, highs of 29 and lows of 15. In Kampala, mostly clear at 19, highs of 27 and lows of 18, while in Dar es Salaam, it's cloudy this morning at 23, we'll see highs of 31 and back down to lows of 23. Johannesburg is cloudy at 13, highs of 21 and lows of 13. While in Lagos, it's mostly clear at 26. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 25. Kinshasa is clear at 24, highs of 31 and lows of 23. It's sunny out in Beijing going into early afternoon, highs of 20 and lows of 6. In Paris, mostly cloudy conditions at 9, highs of 17 and lows of 7. It's cloudy at 16 in London, highs of 17 and lows of 13. New York, gone to bed now. It's raining, however, at 14. We'll see highs coming into Wednesday of 17 and lows of 12.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It's 21 minutes after 6. Ndu Okoh.
Yes.
How you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Who's online?
Everybody. Masisa Wycliffe is tuning in this morning. Masitsa. I like it. He's tuning from Bungoma. He says, I'm tuning in from Bungoma, but economy Nimbaya. Ooh. Ben Okinda Wood, Migori, fully tuned in. And Rogers Lai, hey, it's been a minute, Rogers. Where have you been? 001 is tuned in today. Ben Apudo is tuning in from Ugunja. And from the Great Wall of Kino, that's where Odero Jr. is. Phil is following from Embakasi. And Charity is in Nakuru. Patrick Banlutek Loturi is tuned in all the way from Salt Lake City in Utah. Ed Gitonga, good morning, my favorite breakfast crew. He says it's raining lions, tigers, and bears in County 19. That's Nyeri, no?
I don't know. Ask him. This is Ed.
This is Ed. Ed can
Ed
be
could be in
Isiolo,
in
Meru,
can be anywhere.
Nyeri. Anyway, but City knows which one is not County 019.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah, City knows. We are good to go. Paul is tuned in. Eddie Odor says, good morning, guys. Koru is listening. Edgar Moses is tuned in from Kibra and Ondicho tuned in as always. Sir Haran, it is nice to have you in the room this morning. Abdir Kadir Abdallah says, good morning, tuned in from Komarok. Buyayi Marachi Busia, good morning. And Eric, please can you remind folks who are in Kakamega what they need to touch on the dial in order to get, because everybody keeps asking this question.
The first thing you need to touch is the power button.
Okay, here we go.
Once the gadget comes on and select the frequency, where are you talking about?
Kakamega. Kakamega.
96.7 if you're closer towards the Eldoret side, or if you're closer to the Kisumu side, 102.5.
Voila. There you go. Good morning, folks. Karibu sana.
Welcome. City Muga has the day's proverb. So we're done with the Kwale County.
The Mijikenda, specifically, Kwale County. You know, Kwale have Duruma and Digo.
Yes.
Now, those were Digo.
Those were just the Digo.
Yes. I now want to move to the Rift Valley.
Okay.
The far north of the Rift Valley, bordering Sudan, bordering Ethiopia, Turkana.
Turkana.
Yes. Today's proverb comes from that delightful region. This is the proverb. Aburo nie pingesi eriri emun. Let me try again. Aburo niepi ngesi eriri emun.
All right. So what has the cow done?
It isn't the cow. It's the leopard.
It's the leopard.
When the leopard comes to you, the club in your neighbor's house won't drive him off.
I love it. Yes.
When a leopard attacks you or comes to you, the rungu in your neighbor's house
won't help you.
Won't help you.
No, it won't.
Okay.
Be ready with your own rungu.
Have your own rungu.
Right.
In your own house.
Exactly.
Okay, let's look at the papers. Standard e-paper. Have you gotten access to the Standard e-paper? For only 20 shillings every day, you get all the content that's also on the Standard physical copy. Now, this is very good for those who do not have access to the physical copy and they like reading their news online. The Standard e-paper for 20 bob daily. All the premium content on standardmedia.co.ke, plus a daily Sudoku, plus daily crossword puzzle, plus 10 days worth of access to the Standard archives. We're talking about Kenya's oldest archives, The only other old archive than this could just be the National Archives.
It's possible, huh?
Yes. Let's look at the papers. Where do you want to start?
So, while Governor Waiguru has moved to UDA, we'll discuss that, the AG is accusing 3 judges of changing the constitution through the back door. I think this is interesting. Attorney General Kihara Kariuki has accused the High Court, 3 High Court judges rather, of changing the constitution through the back door to strip President Uhuru Kenyatta of his powers to appoint judges. In his appeal to stop 6 judges rejected by President Kenyatta from assuming office, he argued that the decision by Justices George Dulu, William Musyoka and James Wakiaga amounted to a constitutional coup by making declarations not backed by law. Mr. Kariuki, in his appeal filed yesterday through Solicitor General Kennedy Ogeto, raised 17 grounds of appeal, arguing that allowing the judges to assume office by passing the president in their swearing in will create a constitutional crisis and dent the country's respect for the rule of law, as though that has not been dented already, but okay. Allowing the High Court decision to stand will mean that the judiciary has the power to amend the constitution through the back door. Their judgment was an illegality with no perceptible origin in the words or design of the constitution. The appeal means that President Kenyatta has no intention of appointing the 6 judges within 14 days, as ordered by the High Court. He also wants the Court of Appeal to stop Justice Martha Koome from swearing them in when the 14 days lapse. The judges could not purport to address a constitutional transgression with another constitutional transgression, as it amounted to solving a mistake by doing another mistake. I quote, "They failed to appreciate that the High Court has no powers to go outside constitutional limits," according to Ogeto. So, in this case, what you're trying to do is wrong a right with another wrong. According to him.
Simply because the Constitution had not envisaged a situation where a president would decline to execute a job that's listed, it does not mean that then you now come in and say, when the president fails to do this, this shall happen. If the Constitution has not said it,
you are not the Constitution.
Who are you?
Who are you? If the Constitution has not said, who are you to come and say it should be done?
You know, we know that we do not go to the AG to arbitrate on legal issues. No, he is the advisor to the government. We go to our courts.
Yes.
So, and this law that the AG studied and understands is the same law these judges understand. So now, here we are as lame persons being entertained to how the law is understood and treated by those who have read it and supposedly understand it and apply it in everyday life.
Why can't the law just be clear? I mean,
it's clear.
Why can't it just be, very clear?
Saying A is A and B is B. Leopards have spots and zebras have stripes. Don't confuse us.
I don't think they're trying to confuse us. Because, what you're trying to suggest is how do you legislate uniformity in human behavior and understanding? You can't.
You can't do that, of course not.
Yes. So what you do, the law has very specific things on certain issues. Remember, when this was explained to us, it was said, look, it was understood that the president would also understand his role, would also understand.
It was assumed that.
Yes. Now, it's called goodwill. Okay? Now, goodwill, this again is the beauty of a constitution such as ours here. Because this back and forth, the AG says this, so-and-so says this, the other one says this. In fact, when I read this, I thought to myself,
nice.
I thought it was the BBI that was supposedly subverting the constitution. They have been joined by others. The very institution that told the BBI and the proponents to sit aside are now being accused of doing the very thing that they supposedly told the BBI, you are trying to
do that they were doing.
Sit aside.
Yes.
Right.
Again, it's a discussion about the law and its interpretation.
These laws, we should just bring back Isaac Newton and tell him, can you make the laws for Kenya?
Can you make the apple
It'll
fall
be clear. Newton's laws of motion. It's clear. Nobody argues about, does it mean? No. It's.
And when you
talk about the formula for a straight line, y equals mx plus.
Yes. And if you doubt.
Start saying, why? Why? Why could also be from this. No, that's not it. The y-axis is clear. This is the y-axis.
The bit I really like, Eric, is the matter of gravity. You are welcome to try and test it.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can try.
And the way you can actually do it is go to a genuinely tall building and then just walk off the ledge.
You may not be able to test anything else after that, but you're welcome to try.
No, at least not physically in this world.
No.
It doesn't matter how. It doesn't matter whether you, from the building, you jump up and then come down, or from the building, you just come down.
It doesn't
Acceleration will still be the same. It does not matter. Now, with law, this way, it's subject to interpretation for this, it's subject to interpretation for there.
So, the long and short of the story is
that the AG is appealing.
Appealing, exactly.
That those 14 days that...
and they're trying to stop the Chief Justice from swearing in those judges.
Wow.
Both things here.
Wow.
Interesting to see.
It's a good thing. So let's take a quick break. How are the roads looking like? And then we look at more headlines in the papers. This is Kenya's biggest conversation at 6:30.
Not much going on in the city this morning. A little bit of traffic on Uhuru Highway, however, heading out into the city just after the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, going towards then Haile Selassie. Jogo Road is what looks like it's a bit messy right now. Coming all the way from the train station out towards the City Stadium roundabout is where you'll find the most action right now. On Langata Road, not happening, not so much, but that we can already see indications that it will pile up this morning. Aerodrome Road, probably the only time this morning is going to look good is now. And if you're not off of it, you're probably going to get into it in a very short while. Coming out of Westlands as well is where we see some traffic, and also Ngong Road right at that roundabout, going towards communities where we're going to see some issues. So it's picking up very slowly. On the Thika Superhighway, it has picked up quite some as well as you get into Nairobi proper. Coming off of Kiambu Road is where we also see some traffic, but other parts, not so much. It's going to pick up in a while, though. That we are sure of. We'll be here to let you know what it looks like, hopefully warn you in advance. SpiceFM KE on Twitter, talk to us there, and text on 40127.
Sugar and spice and everything nice. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM,
It's
Nairobi.
8 minutes to 7. Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues. We're looking at more headlines in the papers. CJ, there's something you looked at and you chuckled. What was it?
Well, I chuckled, but I shouldn't have chuckled because it's actually a very disturbing story.
Okay.
But the other one, I chuckled because, so let me start with that one. It was in the Business Daily. Remember, we were talking about some of the pronouncements the president made specifically in regards to maximum amounts that one can withdraw, not withdraw in the bank, CRB, etc., etc. Remember that conversation?
Yes.
And we opined and said, perhaps it would make sense if the banks if the government rather, didn't focus so much on domestic borrowing. Okay?
Yes.
I chuckled because this is what I read. State eyes record 150 bond sale for roads. Okay?
Uh-huh.
The government is set to float a record 150 billion infrastructure bond next month, whose proceeds will go to offset debt, contract, and finance the completion of ongoing road projects.
Okay.
Infrastructure principle, project. Paul Mainga said Treasury and Central Bank of Kenya and the Attorney General have approved the sale of the bond. Now, who will buy the bond?
Wait. So is this a local bond or is
Yes.
it an international bond?
Yes.
The bond is to be floated locally?
Yes.
Who will take up? It will be oversubscribed. They're only looking for 100 billion.
150.
They'll get 300.
Yes, they will.
Bids worth 300 billion. That's
Yes.
for sure.
Yes. But you know what that means also?
Yes.
The banks will not bother with the mwananchi.
The bond will attract interest at market rates. It's necessary to retire the 100 billion shillings debt to avoid the risk of attracting huge interest and penalties. So we are borrowing to settle a debt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the PS says, we must borrow money. We started with 90 billion as spending bills before increasing to 100 as of June 30th, 2019. We must continue borrowing.
Well,
unless we float the bond, we may not be able to say when we'll be able to clear the pending bills. So the bond is to clear pending bills.
Yes, it is.
It emerged the pending bills may hit an excess of 200 billion for the 2018-2019, 2019-2020 financial years if we were to approve all pending bill certificates.
Yes.
The bill will go up. This is according to Professor Maringa. The amount is a quarter of the annual budgetary allocation to the National Government Constituency Development Fund. The PS says the amount is enough to construct a good 50-kilometer road.
Okay.
A good 50 kilometers.
In case you think that is the only thing we're doing, we are in secret discussions.
Secret even. Wow. It's not much of a secret now that it's outside.
Yes.
Now that you're reporting it.
Yes.
Some Chiniamaji discussions.
Yes, apparently the reason why these discussions are ongoing is because we want to pay. Remember there were claims by this Italian company.
Yes.
Over the Aurora and Kimoror Dam.
Yes.
The project is 108 billion shillings. That's the sum total of. But we are paying this so that we can unlock the insurance compensation that we took. We paid 14 billion insurance for such an eventuality. So now we want to pay off this fellow so that it can unlock.
Wait, how much are we paying
the fellows?
Now, you see.
Just get us a story.
Yeah.
You know, I read that thing, and it wasn't making sense to me, and I'm going to explain to you why it wasn't making sense to me. And you know, some of these things it's good to admit you don't understand it, so that people who understand.
When you don't get it, just say I don't get it.
I don't get this.
It's on page 10 of the Nation.
Yes, it is. And they're saying they are paying so that they can unlock, and I'm saying, okay, unlock insurance. Okay, you unlock insurance, and how much do you actually want to pay? And it's a colossal amount, my friends.
Okay, so let me read the 3 paragraphs of the story.
Yes.
The Treasury officials are locked in secret negotiations to pay off contractors hired to build the 108 billion shillings Aurora, Kimorer and Itare dams in a bid to qualify for insurance compensation for the cancelled projects. The negotiations were called after the Italian state-owned insurer Standard Group CDP told the Kenyan government that it must pay contractors hired to build a multi-billion shillings dam before it can receive compensation for default on the mega projects. The highly guarded talks could see taxpayers sink more billions into the doomed projects as the Italian firm that was paid 14 billion to insure loans borrowed to finance their construction waves fine print in the government's face. The Treasury is already 5 months behind on the first installment of the 19.6 billion shillings for loans taken to construct the Aurora and Kimorer Dam. So, the amount that the Kenyan government paid to insure the loans it took out to construct Aurora Kimorer, 14 billion shillings. The amount that CMC Diravena is claiming from the government as compensation, 12.6 billion shillings. Okay? Now, took insurance in the event that this person does not deliver on the project, we can claim. In the event that they do not do the job, we can claim. So we put in 14 billion shillings. Okay? Now, the person does not complete, but the person waives a contract and says, it says here that you shall pay me 12 billion shillings. We go to the insurer and we say, this guy has not. Insurer says, okay, but your contract says that you shall pay. So can you first pay him so that then I can execute my bid? So pay him 12 billion so I can give you 14 billion. You see biashara mbaya.
2 billion shillings hapo.
You'll be a Sharon in Bovu.
2 billion shillings is okay. You at least get 2 billion back.
Can you actually blame one for taking the view that these contracts are entered into so that we may arrive at this very position that we are at right now? Somebody says they started. What they've started, you really have to look far and wide to see. But they were contracted to start. They say they started. The contract was rescinded. Now, because it is rescinded, now we have to pay. Did we not know that if you rescind the contract, under certain circumstances, we'd have to pay? Did we not know? Of course we did. Did we know? To say we don't know is like saying we didn't know the content of what? Of the contract, isn't it? Now, The people who should actually come in this discussion, not Treasury, it should be the AG.
Yeah.
Because these government contracts are never entered into. Actually, let me revise
Should
that.
not be.
Should not be entered into. That is the correct term. Without the involvement of the AGs. But this is something that requires explanation, because I would take it as something that perhaps was an error. But this has happened too often. It happens too often.
It's like the norm.
Yes, it happens too often. So it can't be accidental.
No. There's something else that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Just bursting. So, the 231 million NYS graft case is at risk of collapse. Huh?
Right.
Don't you like that? The trial of 30 public officers over the 231 million shillings corruption scandal at the National Youth Service is on the verge of collapse due to delayed conclusion of the prosecution's case. The suspects, including former Youth and Gender Affairs Principal Secretary Lillian Bogo Omolo, were arraigned in May 2018 for the theft of public funds through inflating prices of goods and services rendered to NYS and fictitious payments. According to the EACC Act, the trial was supposed to take a statutory time of 24 months, according to their advocate. However, the hearing of the case stalled in 2019, and the planned resumption the following year failed after the courts were closed in April 2020 due to COVID-19. The hearing is now scheduled to resume on the 17th of May 2022. As a result of the delay and extension of the statutory timelines, Ms. Omolo and the other public officers want the Anti-Corruption Court to terminate the trial. Her co-accused include the former NYS Director General Richard Ethan Dubai. In a preliminary objection filed yesterday, the accused persons want the charges and the criminal proceedings struck out and dismissed because, you know what? This is taking too long. 24 months is the time within which this should be adjudicated. We are well past 24 months now. The prosecution has failed to conclude their case. You're wasting our time.
Okay, first of all,
let's go.
This is the first time I'm hearing about that 24-month issue being in the law.
Statutory time, according to the EACC Act. It's in the Act.
But EACC has had many corruption cases that have taken 10, 15 years to conclude, 7 years.
Whatever.
Yeah. So how come this is the first time I'm hearing about, there's a statutory
this particular trial,
2 year, 2 years within which time you should have concluded prosecution.
Was it part of the understanding that the judiciary came up with?
There was a proposal like this. Remember last year in Parliament?
There was.
Among very many other proposals, one of them was to have this including the Anti-Corruption Act and others. And then they were withdrawn in the last minute. It was to come in the omnibus bill of last year. It was withdrawn. So I'm just not sure. I'm seeing
Statutory
it here.
Period
That the lawyers are actually saying that it's in law.
Yeah, this is the thing. Now, statutory period doesn't apply case by case. It's a blanket time, right? It's a blanket. You can't say that, all right, with this case that has been entered, statutory time is 24 months, or this is 36 months, or this is 15 years. You can't do that. So for them to be very categorical on this, it must exist.
You must know something.
Yes.
Hey, we'll ask our friend Philip Kagushe. Is this actually part of the law? But here's the thing. If it ends up going that route, we must ask the prosecutor, what on
took
earth?
You so long, my friend?
So you taking the case to 30 people. 30. Remember even Chief Justice Maraga saying, look, you are bringing 30 people, charging them with 30 different charges. Each of those people will come with 2 lawyers. When shall we ever conclude some of these cases?
And we're just listening to charges. We're listening to charges. It'll take us 6 months to listen
There's
to charges.
There's an adjournment here. This one of the accused is seeking an adjournment. So the whole case does not move on because and then now we get to a point where they say, we have been sitting here forever. It's been more than 2 years since you charged us. You have frozen our accounts. Remember, in the case of like Lillian Omolo, because it's been even written publicly, accounts frozen, the only access to that money is to pay school fees for the children, to pay upkeep, X amount. Everything else, you cannot invest, you cannot move, you cannot... Their passports are bonded. You cannot leave the country. You are just stuck.
But this is
justice denied.
Exactly. And this is the thing we're talking about the law just now. Is that, it doesn't matter how extreme the charges are. If there's a kink in the law somewhere, because the question will be asked, prosecution, what was going on? Sitting on your hands for so long, why? And then, are you then going to be able to drop this on a technicality? Because truly, if that period is 2 years, you're well beyond the 2 years. And then they can stand on that and say, you know what, folks, done and dusted, let's all go home. Because clearly, this cannot happen, not in this manner at least.
Yeah.
Is justice actually being delivered? And I keep asking that question. Whether it is criminal, whether it is civil, whatever the case may be. Why do we have these things over and over and over again? Cases take forever, technicality comes in, cases are dropped, charges are changed, lengthening the period through which justice then can be expended. Why?
What is all that? So I've sent a message to Philip Kagushia, the communications director at the EACC. We just confirm that this is in your law. Another interesting story before we take this quick break. So you see that thing in Loyangalani?
That thing?
Yes.
Okay.
In Loyangalani, I don't know whether it's visible from space. It should be. We have a wind power project.
Okay.
Right? Occupying large tracts of land. 150,000 acres of community land allocated to Lake Turkana Wind Power Project. Now, the High Court in Meru has nullified title deeds for the land on which the 70 billion shillings Lake Turkana Wind Power Project sits, saying it was acquired irregularly. Judges Peter Mushoki Njoroge, Juvenalis Angima and Grace Kemei said the constitution was not followed when 150,000 acres of community land was allocated to this company. But the judges declined to cancel the title deeds, giving the Marsabit County Government, the Attorney General, Chief Land Registrar and the National Land Commission 1 year to regularize the process. The court ruled that if the process is not completed by the end of the 12 months, the title deeds for the power producer will automatically be cancelled and the land will revert to the community. Huge project, 150,000 acres of land. It's community land belonging to Marsabit County residents. So they said the constitution was not followed in allocating this land. What's the process? Community must show that they have all unanimously agreed to cede land to give to some private project. What are they getting in return? So they've been told, you did not follow due process. Go back, regularize this process within the next 12 months. If you don't do that within the next 12 months, then that land title deed, cancelled. And that's the end of it. Let's take that quick break. It's 13 minutes to 7. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We're looking at the newspaper headlines and what other big news are coming out of the world. Good morning.
This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
On your march. Set.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual Marathon and Elite Marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, medal, and bag. Kits will be collected at either KICC or at selected hotspots. All proceeds from the marathon go to help young people learn, earn, and grow through our Future Makers program. Join us and let us run as one. Standard Group are proud to be the official media partners of the Stanchart Marathon 2021.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.
It continues. It's 11 minutes to 7.
It is.
Yes.
So, you wanted to say something?
You know, you say it.
Okay. Grade 3, 4, and 5 are beginning their CBC tests on Friday. The national assessments for the 3 pioneer classes of the CBC begin Friday. According to KNEC, they'll upload assessment tools for grade 3 and special needs education students, foundational level, as well as for grade 4 and 5 practicals today. So they'll upload those today. They will be downloadable on Friday. In a circular to sub-county directors of education and heads of primary and SNE schools, KNEC Chief Executive David Jengere urged head teachers to download the tools Friday. They're expected to download assessment tools and instructions, then administer, score, and upload the assessment outputs on the portal. So they'll be assessed in 5 integrated learning areas with assessment tools available from Friday to December 10th. Grade 4 and 5 practicals and project-based assessment tools and instructions will also be available within the same period. So what does this mean? Basically, is now when we are seeing the rollout. Remember what they had said is that you're going into now 3 assessments in the year, right? This now is the second of them. And so what you're seeing is a larger continuous assessment as opposed to emphasis being put on that one big exam at the end of your primary or at the end of your high school. And so now they're getting into this. The grade 4s who had taken that initial test now are going into the next phase of this. So it's interesting to see how this is playing out here. They'll do their practical and sitting written assessments in January next year. It's rolling out. It's working. It's being done. This CBC is here. I'm very interested to know. Remember, we were told a couple of weeks ago that there was consultation going on about all the hullabaloo. What was,
whether it's working, whether it's not.
And that they would tell us what they arrived at.
Yeah.
We've not been told what they arrived at. But clearly from this...
Full steam ahead.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we've been talking about food losses, post-harvest losses, right? And especially when it comes to grain, there's the issue of improper drying methods, which lead to aflatoxin. There's a lecturer from the university, the Moi University in Eldoret, who's come up with a new innovative way of drying maize. Isaiah Etemo Muchilwa, a lecturer in the Department of Mechanical Production and Energy Engineering at Moi University in Eldoret, says the dryer will reduce post-harvest losses by over 30%. According to him, the dryer, which he has called Etemo, after his middle name, will revolutionize the agriculture sector. The dryer is made of steel rods, pieces of blanket and fans. It can be powered by charcoal, heat, firewood, or a mini generator. And he says a standard machine can dry up to 12 tons of maize in a week. This lecturer pursued his master's and doctorate degrees in Germany, and he says he learned that most of the challenges that farmers in Kenya experience are unique to the region and they require local solutions. He noted imported dryers are designed to dry shelled maize, noting that the maize crop begins to rot due to high humidity while still on the cob. The lecturer said, having experienced most of the challenges, he is motivated to research for a homegrown solution. Together with partners from Germany, Muchilwa came up with a technology that taps heat from the sun during the day. At night, it uses charcoal or firewood. We usually harvest our maize and keep them in stores until when the weather is dry for us to shell, since you cannot shell when the cobs are not yet fully dried. However, the produce begins to grow mold and poisonous fungi due to high humidity experienced within the tropics, thus contaminating the cereal with aflatoxin. We talk about innovation and solutions for local issues. Here is one. He says, the dryers that we buy are basically those that are for maize that has already been shelled. But the typical practice of a Kenyan farmer is you harvest maize with its cob, put it in a granary. It's cold. Wait for the sun to come out, and then you put it out there to dry, and then now that's when you shell it. Now, during that moment when it's sitting there and it's cob, it's growing mold because of humidity and getting aflatoxin. So can we come up with a solution of drying the maize when it's still with the cob in that store? Fantastic.
I think it's brilliant.
And what does it require? Sun during the day, charcoal and firewood at night.
There's some ramifications of war that are, well, by and large, ramifications of war are usually quite atrocious. But there's something that I read that's happening in Afghanistan that I found to be absolutely disturbing. One of the things that is happening in Afghanistan, because of the problems they've had with the war, the Taliban coming into power, regions still at loggerheads, that turmoil. People are selling their daughters. Now, when you hear selling daughters, you think child marriage, you think maybe of adolescence. No. An 18-month-old child. Yes. A 3-year-old child. A 2-year-old child. And they even have rates. For a child who's below the age of 18, the going price, $2,800. But it is paid in installment over a period of time. Okay? A bride who's older, $3,350. Again, yes, disturbing, isn't it?
Go on.
No, I see. Now, the thing is, it's disturbing if these children are being married to older people. In many cases, they're being married to children, so they're betrothed. Okay? But you also have cases where you find, for instance, a case, I'm reading here, there's a region in Afghanistan called Badghis. A 23-year-old purchased a 4-year-old. Now, families are being forced to do this simply to survive, to eat. But this that I've mentioned, unfortunately, has had drought. People don't have food.
Okay.
And they're relying on aid. Why did I choose this article? Because as I was reading and I was thinking about the problems that people have, and I'm thinking, why do people who have the might and the power, why do they insist on always trying to force their will on other people?
You know, Siti, even before you go further, I have a problem with the reporting there.
Yes.
I have a big issue with the reporting.
Please.
Can we go into their culture and find out how people were betrothing culturally? Because I know even in Africa, in Kenya, there are communities where you start that process early. A child is born and two families start having a conversation.
Yes.
So this one is betrothed to you from young age.
Yes.
We know that this one shall become this one's husband. This one shall become this
when
one's, they get to a certain age. And then now you start those negotiations going up. Because listening to what you're saying, it sounds very much to me like this is a continuation of what has been happening. But it's been reported like selling.
Actually.
Because of.
Actually, the reason why it has been reported is because some of the ages at which children are actually their betrothals exist and they've always existed. It's a community where girls are married in their teenage.
Yes.
Okay? It's normal.
Yeah.
Now, but because of the hunger, the practice has taken an economic twist in that people now seek to alleviate their poverty by now offering. Remember, families sat and discussed, but now it's become a market-driven, a market force-driven activity. People are saying, we need to eat. So because we need to eat...
I don't believe it. The bottom line, what I'm saying is, whoever wrote that story was pushing a certain agenda, and I do not trust that story.
It is fine. You may not trust it, but the truth of the matter is, this is what is reported.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a reporting thing that, now trying to connect. Because there is drought, because there's this, now there's a trade of children. Now there's... So
you're saying it's
putting another slant.
Somebody who has not bothered to understand the culture of those people.
Yes.
But what if...
And also trying to sell a story using a certain angle. Because of war, because of famine, because of this is happening.
Actually...
And yet maybe it was still happening, only that the commencement of the negotiations or the actualization of the negotiations are not taking place at the rate in which it's taking place.
Yes, but one of the things that is also a constant reality is that in terms of grave hunger and even war, things that may have been a cultural practice acquire an aberration. So they're now no longer what was the case.
Yes.
They take on an extremely negative tinge.
Yes.
Yes.
But I wish now such a story is reported with that context in mind. Not putting it out there that, there's so much famine that the people are selling their children. That's a whole different story.
Actually, they could very well do it. As I said, in times of when people are in dire straits, what may have been a culture that was practiced. But we're talking about problems, Eric. I also have a problem with the idea of children being married off in their teenage. I have a huge problem with it.
Yes, there's a huge problem with that.
Yes.
But you see, that's a different angle to a story than saying people are selling children because they're hungry.
Okay.
Good morning. Keep it right here for more. It's now 7 a.m.
The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. ODM leader Raila Odinga is set to leave for Dubai today. His traveling schedule comes at that time the 2022 campaigns continue to heat up across the country. Odinga will be in the United Arab Emirates for a week. This is the second time in 4 months Odinga is flying to Dubai. In July this year, the former Prime Minister flew to the United Arab Emirates. The Anti-Corruption Court has been told that Kapseret MP Oscar Sudi did not sit his Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams in 2006 as alleged. One of the top officials in the Kenyan National Examination Council, Nabiki Enekashu, has told Judge Felix Kombo that Sudi did not register or take the exam at Highway High School in Nairobi. She was testifying in a case in which Sudi has been charged with forging a diploma certificate in business management, purporting it to be a genuine document issued by the Kenya Institute of Management. Now, 4 students from Dr. Kraft Memorial High School in Kilifi County who are suspected of involvement in the burning of the school's dormitory will be arraigned in court today. An investigation by Rabai police officers revealed that the 4 had conspired to burn down the dormitory and bought petrol to do so. Rabai Police Commander Fred Abuga says that other students interviewed earlier also revealed how the 4 planned the plot. He said that so far the value of the property destroyed following the tragedy has not been determined and that the police are relying on a report from the Ministry of Labour to determine the value of the property. Abuga said the school was closed indefinitely and that the management board would issue a statement on when it would reopen. Now, parents who take their children to early childhood development centers from the age of 2 years go against the Ministry of Education's guidelines. Basic Education Director General Elias Abdi says the national curriculum requires children to start attending ECD at 4 years. Abdi noted that most parents in urban areas take their children to care centers at the age of 2 years, further stating that as a ministry, they regulate and give license to institutions and specify the time these children should go to ECD. Now, activist Boniface Mwangi has been banned from publishing any defamatory statements against Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua until a case filed by Mutua is heard and determined. Mwangi has also been banned from linking the governor in any way with the alleged bombing of his house in Lukenya area on the 21st of this month. He has also been asked to desist from calling Mutua names. Mutua wants Mwangi to be compelled to apologize to him for linking him to the attack. The case will be heard before Judge George Odunga on November 4th this year. Laikipia County government has condemned the alleged cover-up of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, a 21-year-old mother who was killed by a British soldier in Nanyuki 9 years ago. Governor Nderitu Murithi said the murder of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki is distressing and unacceptable. He says that for one of the soldiers to murder a young mother and literally get away with it for 9 years is unthinkable and contemptuous of our hospitality. Now, Jamaican reggae star Etana has landed in the country ahead of the Pamoja Festival to be held in Nairobi at the Ngong Race Course waterfront on the 30th of October 2021. We caught up with her at the airport, and this is what she said about her song Malaika.
Malaika has a message to me that's deeper than just a man wanting to marry a woman, but not having enough. Because as a people, and especially throughout our journey and life in America, Jamaica, throughout the Caribbean, a lot of people started from nothing, went through a whole lot of hardship, and came all the way up from nothing to a whole lot. And that is what Malaika means to me. You know, not just about one man wanting to marry a woman, not having enough. There are many people across the world who started from nothing, had to marry, you know, in nothing and build it to something great.
Standard Group's Media Group, Standard Media Group's Vibes Radio is the media sponsors.
Vibes Radio, go and play the music, go and keep up the vibes. Yes to the vibes. I'm Etana and you're locked into Vibes Radio. Thank you to everybody here in Kenya. We are ready to perform. The show is going to be a show. And I am ready for the party. Where you say no curfew, we party till morning. Ready? All right, I'm ready. Because I am not afraid. Even though you're broke, I'm not the sort of person. Oh no, I'm ready. Let's go.
Be sure to come and enjoy yourself. Meet with Vibes Radio host and shake a leg to amazing performances from Etana. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
Spice FM, Nakuru.
All right, and expected a few minutes after 7 o'clock. That's why we have seen it build up on the Uhuru Highway this morning, feeding off of Langata Road and also coming off of Ngong Road this morning, coming off of Greater Mombasa Road as well. All roads lead then towards Uhuru Highway. We're also looking at traffic on Mombasa Road today, but not as crazy as it's been in the recent weeks. There's a spot of traffic here and there on the Southern Bypass, and that's inbound. Also then feeding off onto Langata Road. So that looks like it's going to get just a little bit crazier as the minutes tick by. We're also looking at traffic on the Thika Superhighway, quite hot and heavy, getting towards the drive-in. And then coming out of Westlands as well, we see quite some this morning. Okay, so not to forget, there's always an option, folks, and that option is in the bypasses. Use them this morning on the Red Hill Link Road coming out of Westlands. We're also seeing that coming off of the Southern Bypass, the Eastern Bypass, and the Northern Bypass. It looks like you have to go further to get closer, but let's do it so we don't get stuck in traffic, all right? SpiceFM KE on Twitter, text 40127.
This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The
A very
only
good
way
morning
to
to you.
start
It's 7
your
minutes
day.
after 7. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. We're getting into the second hour of the show. We will begin with the day's proverb from CT.
Aburo nie pingesi, eriri emuri. Yes. Don't worry.
It's a good proverb.
Without the interpretation, I understood nothing of the proverb. But let me repeat it again.
Aburo?
I got the last word wrong. Aburo niepi ngesi, eriri emun.
This is a Turkana proverb.
It's a Turkana proverb.
What
This is what it means. When the leopard comes to you, the club in your neighbor's house won't drive him off.
When the leopard comes, the rungu in your neighbor's house would help you.
No.
Okay. Let's have a conversation about what's happening this week. The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is already ongoing. The virtual running started on Monday, the 25th. It goes on until the 30th. And then on Sunday, we have the physical marathon taking place right here in Nairobi, along the Southern Bypass. So what does it mean? It means that there are people who are already taking part in the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon who have registered virtually, and you can do that. And then you download the Strava app. After you download the Strava app, you choose when you want to run, register and record your timings, submit, and you have participated. And then there are those who are participating on Sunday, elite runners and those that have registered. Two of them are with us in the studio. One is world famous Kenyan superstar Shujaa mwenyewe, Henry Wanyoike. He's in the studio. Henry Wanyoike is a man who has so many records.
He does.
Hey.
In fact, there are so many. I wanted to ask him if he can lend me one for the weekend.
Just how, eh?
No worry.
I'll give it back to him on Monday.
Hey,
you have to think about it.
Henry, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Eric, and everybody.
Thank you.
In the house. Yeah,
Henry,
happy to be here.
3 world records standing today.
Yeah, up to date.
What are
the year
those
2000.
records?
I just feel great and feel honored that I have been able to beat these world records, which is not so easy. I remember my first run in Sydney, where I was dragging my guide, and I just made the world records with 3 seconds.
Because of your guide?
Because of my guide. He couldn't make it to the finishing, so I was dragging him to the end. And so that is why to us, time is very, very important. Just 3 seconds denying me to become a world record holder, but a Paralympic world recorder. But I had to work it a few years later, was able to do the 5, 10 and half marathons and the full marathons. So I'm happy that I have these 3 world records. And then another case is when I did when I was beating the world records in the marathon, I did 2 marathons in 1 week. And each weekend it was a world record. So it was in London and also in Hamburg, Germany. And every race I was able to beat the world records. So these records have been not so easy to win 2 world records in 1 week, and especially in the marathons.
Hey. We shall come back to that. Let's introduce our second guest. Sarah Mwala is also a world beater in her own right. Sarah, welcome to the Situation Room.
Thank you.
You are participating on Sunday.
Yes.
You've been running for a while. As soon as she walked in, I thought, well, she looks like she runs.
She just come from a jog.
Yeah, she just jogging.
Passing by.
Diverted.
Actually, where is Standard Group on Mombasa Road?
Yes,
okay, let me just take a quick nip in here.
And now she's in the studio.
Yeah.
Okay.
How often do you run?
3 to 4 days a week.
3 to 4 days every week.
Yes.
Out of every 7 days,
Yes.
more than half you have run.
Yes.
And how long are the runs?
1 hour to... Okay, the minimum is 10 kilometers.
You're just going.
Yes.
The
Minimum is 10 kilometers.
Okay.
Yes.
The only thing I can say in our defense is that we sit here for 4 hours every day, Monday to Friday.
Yes.
Yes, that's what we do.
Every Monday to Friday we're here for 4 hours.
Yeah.
What motivated you to start running?
I started running in 2015 just to keep fit, but it wasn't, I wasn't serious about it because I could do once a week or twice a month. But my turning point was in 2017 when I lost my mother. And for me, running, now that she was very dear to me, I didn't believe in counseling because I didn't believe anyone would understand the pain I was going through. So I turned into running to comfort myself. And ever since then, I have to be consistent with it because it's me time and it distracts me from so many things. It's a way of grieving her. Yeah.
So it's therapeutic.
It's therapeutic, yeah. It keeps me going.
And that just made you decide, I want to do this.
Yes, and that's when I ventured into marathons. I never used to run marathons. So my first marathon was in Stanchart. That was in 2016, just to check how... Because in 2016, it's when we were on a very rough path. In 2017, January, she passed on. So my first marathon after she passed on was Chicago Marathon. Which I did in 3 hours, 45 minutes. That was my dedication to her. Ever since then, every year I do a marathon. So in 2018, I did Berlin. In 2019, it's when COVID happened. Yeah.
Last year.
Yes. So that one, we did a local run, which was called Mashujaa Run. I also did a full marathon. And in 2020, was there another run? No. So this I'll be participating in the corporate marathon relay, which comprises of 4 team members. Each does 10 and the last person does 12. Yeah.
Are you the one doing the 12?
No. Yeah.
Is there any marathon where you can do 1 kilometer?
Unfortunately,
not a marathon if it's a kilometer CT.
No, relay. You do 1 kilometer.
We got 42 people in the relay.
Like a corporate,
yes,
corporate
yes,
run.
yes,
It's possible.
Corporate, so that there are many people, or at least 500 meters. Yes. You guys are not taking this thing seriously, are you?
No, we are.
We're taking it very seriously. It's possible for it to happen.
We are seriously ignoring it.
So I guess for both of you, Mwala and Henry, it's so running has taken on something where it was initially therapeutic, something for you to do personally. Have you seen that it has then now graduated into something that then has meaning for more than just yourself and your own therapy, that you can then do something with it? You obviously coming from a position of grief. You spoke to him. Coming also from a position of
Did you speak to him?
Yeah.
But then Starting this off, saying, you know what, for myself, maybe I can find an outlet, but then here I am and impacting the world. How has that been for you?
Okay, thank you. Learning to me has a lot of meaning, because when I won my first medal in Sydney, it was like a turning point of after I had lost my sight, and my dream was to become a world hero and being well celebrated in the country, because I used to see other great Kenyans, the way they were being celebrated outside there. I was admiring them. People like the living legend Kipchoge, Keino. I was admiring. In fact, I used to call myself Kip in school, and this was quite good for me. And when I won that gold medal in Sydney, I came to that, I can still make it. And then that was immediately after I had lost my sight. So it really gave me a lot of motivation. And then from there, I decided even to challenge myself further, because I was only good in 5,000 meters. I decided to go on with the 10,000 meters, winning and making a world record, half marathon. In fact, my half marathon was in Hong Kong when I was doing the Standard marathon in Hong Kong. And I won the race. Out of 12,000 people who took part in that race, I was the only visually impaired, and I still won the race. I got a big trophy. I was so excited. And then I decided, let me try the marathon, of which it was so hard for me. I remember my first marathon, I had a very bad experience learning with 8 guides. The guy I took from Kenya, he was telling me, I'm very good in the marathon. I will make sure that you are going to win in the very best time. And then for me, I didn't know how you are supposed to do it. I went with the wrong shoe for training. Then I didn't know that you have to take water on the way. So all the water station, I missed the water. Then I got the very bad blisters at the end of the run. Then my guide, after 12 kilometers, he told me, "Oh, Henry, you know what?
No way.
I'm not able to continue." So I was telling you. So for him, he was just to have a trip outside Kenya.
Wow.
And then for me, I was thinking that he's going to make. But now after 12 kilometers, he told me, "Henry, now we have to do something to look for somebody else. I'm done." So luckily enough, we were in front. And the guys with the bike, they realized that I have a problem with the guys. So I was like telling you, you can't do this. And then they organized me another guide. After a few kilometers, he said, "Oh, no way." Another guide. So I spent 8 guides. 8 guides to finish the full marathon.
To do 42 kilometers.
Yeah, but it was so hard. I still won the race. But I said to myself, never ever do another marathon, because I had a lot of pain. I missed the water, so I was like, it was so bad experience. And from there, 1 year I got another invitation to do the Boston Marathon. I said, let me try the second. If it doesn't work, anyway, for me, I just wanted to go to America. So, but I said, let me try. If it doesn't work, no, I will never try again. But the second attempt, it was much better. That time I spent 2 guides, one after 21, and then I got the other one to finish the 42. And then from there, it has been working so well. And then what really motivated me to do the marathons, and when the Standard Marathon was started here in Kenya, and I was asking myself, what can I be able to do for my people who are visually impaired and those who are going the same challenges like the one I went through. And I was very happy to see the theme of the marathon, or the Seeing is Believing, whereby it was like to give sight to those people who can be able to go for the operation, and after the operation they can be able to see again the world. They can be able to enjoy the world. So I thought this is the best thing to do, and that is why I told you in London I did the two marathon, one in London, in Germany, and the Hamburg, because it had a meaning, and because what we have been doing with the Standard for the Seeing is Believing campaign, we have been able to support more than 200,000 kids in the country. And it is not only here in Kenya, it is worldwide. You can imagine these children could have lived a very miserable life, and through the effort and the energy and the resources of many Kenyans who have been participating in the Nairobi Marathon, you can see 200,000 children have been operated. Now they are able to see again. They are enjoying the world. They are able to go back to the school, and their family, you can see most of these, they have come from poor families, so it is good for them. And I feel good doing all this marathon for Seeing is Believing.
Yeah.
Until the time now it came to an end, and now it is the run for the future makers.
Right.
I feel good to be part of this great and noble worthy cause.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Sarah? I mean, you started off clear. I mean, you told us this running thing was for you.
Yeah.
It was your thing, your escape, your way of grieving. It was yours. So now presented with an opportunity to run in a way that will then impact the lives of others. How did you make the shift? I mean, you're sharing this safe space with other people, right?
Yeah. Let me say there is a thin line between sharing the space.
Yeah.
Because now when you realize your why you're running, you also need to look for other teams or groups to keep you going, like people who run for charities, mostly now recreational runners. Someone can hold a run just to support probably a charitable organization. You just go support them. As you're doing your thing, you also help someone else to earn a living or to place food on their table. And now for like this Sunday, we are running for the Future Makers. So the registration fee we do, that money will go towards the Future Makers. You'll also impact someone's life. Yeah, it's not just about you, but also the community. Yeah.
Why do you wear 2 watches?
They're not 2 watches. This is a safety band.
Okay.
Yes. And this is a watch, a running watch.
I was going to say you're timing yourself. And
No.
Timing the world and timing yourself.
No. This is a safety band.
Okay,
Yeah.
What is a safety band?
A safety band, runners use safety bands when they go to run. It has your name, your next of kin, just in case of an emergency.
Yeah.
You might go out for a run, something happens to you, you don't have a phone. Then, they get your next of kin number on the safety band.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
That's very good. So there are many people who already participating in whatever 5 kilometers, maybe 10 kilometer virtual run. And maybe they're just figuring out, I thought I'd have the energy to do this year's Nairobi Marathon, but here I am, I'm having problems. How would you encourage them? What would you tell somebody who's wondering, okay, God, Friday, Saturday is coming. I still haven't logged in my timings. I'm not feeling up to it. Are there days when you wake up and you just feel, hey,
not today.
Mwili imekataa?
Yeah, there are those days, but question is, have these people been running? Yes, no?
Okay.
If yes, clearly you just have to get out and just go finish. Don't look at the pace. Just go, do it at your own pace, but you get to the finish line. If you've not been running, please don't be too ambitious. You can register for the 5 kilometer walk. Just run and walk until you finish. Yeah, so that you also don't punish yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And Henry, I think that's a huge message, not just about this race, but then also about, we can even look at it in life as in general, right? That you don't have to be at the same pace with everybody, but that you just finish. Henry, for you, clearly, with the different challenges that you've had, and then even going to this marathon, is that what we're telling people? Is that what we're telling folks? Just start, and then just finish. That the rewards are much greater if you finish.
Okay, what I always tell the upcomings and to all the participants is that some people go with believing that I'm going there to win, but in sports we always believe that you can win and you can lose. So it doesn't matter how long you have been training. Maybe the way you have been thinking, you have been training very well. Sometimes maybe that day you are not in good mood, or maybe it is not there for you, but you should not be disappointed. So as Sarah said, that you need to go with your own pace, because if you follow somebody like myself or somebody else's pace, definitely you'll be disappointed, and most of the time you might be out of the race. So the best thing is to go with your own pace. You have not been training very well. Start slowly. Even if it is walking, and then you see the starting and the most important is to the finishing. So it doesn't matter how long you are going to take. And then there is always a struggle bus which can take you to the finishing if you are not able to make it to the finishing. So the best thing is, but I always tell people, keep training. And, it requires a lot of discipline. Sometimes you feel, am I going to wake up at this time? So it requires a lot of this, and that is what teamwork is very important. You have a small group whereby you can be like you have an alarm, and then somebody else can tell you, oh, time to wake up and go for training.
Right.
And because sometimes you feel, oh, today I'm not going, I will go tomorrow. Then the other day I'll go the next day. So sometimes that is why you see most of many people can be able to run, but because they don't have any motivation, they are not able to wake up early in the morning, and then that you asking yourself, why am I doing this? Like, you know that the marathon, sometimes when you start the marathon, you know, when you are talking outside there, you say, oh, I'm going to make it. This is just 2 hours. When they see people winning with the 2 hours, or this is how I can do it with the 2.5 or 2 hours. But when you start, you feel you have the energy to go on. But after a few kilometers, you feel the energy is going, you are out of breath, you are out of energy. Sometimes even you keep on asking, hey, why am I punishing myself? Why am I,
Why all this?
Yeah, why all this pain? But when you look the time you have spent outside there training, and then you look behind and see how many kilometers you have more energy to continue, and then you see the finishing. You know, when they see the people, they see the person finishing the race, even like the spectators, they don't know how much you have spent. You know, they always see the finished product, but they don't know how much you have been training, how many hours you have spent outside there, and even how much you have spent to achieve or to be who you are at that particular time. So I always encourage keep training, and it's good for your health, for your fitness. It's good.
You know, as you say that, Henry, I mean, everything that you're saying, we've been told before many times. You know, running, exercise is good. Fitness, big fitness as a lifestyle. How can we create that common running culture in the country? For you, I think your genes just predisposed you to this. You are a naturally gifted runner and marathoner. Okay? Someone like Sarah, she has motivation, and then there are many people who like to get into this as a lifestyle. How can we create such a culture? What needs to happen so people just get into this culture of, I'm exercising regularly, I'm walking, I'm running, I'm hiking, I'm doing something?
I'm happy with all the recreation runners, and what I've been doing on my own capacity. I've tried to tell people that in your neighborhood, try to have the neighborhood clubs. You know, you come up 2-3 people when you start, because when you're on your own, sometimes it's so boring. And that is why for my case it is very good, because when I'm down, I have somebody who is there to motivate me. So it is always good to look for somebody who you can be able to go and run together, who you can be able to go and play together, so that we can be able to develop that sports culture in the country. So the best thing is that to have like the neighborhood clubs, and I have seen it working so well in my area. Now we have different recreation runners who are doing very well in the area, and I believe in this way we can be able to have more people participating in sports, because it is not possible sometimes to do it on your own. That is why you see even the good athletes or good sportsmen and sportswomen, they always do it as a group or as a team. Yeah, it is good when you know somebody said, when you want to run faster, be on your own. But if you want to go far, go with a team. You know, like when Sarah is saying about running, you know, when you are doing it on your own, sometimes you feel you keep on asking, today let me finish today. When you check that I've done enough, but then when you go to the competition, you feel disappointed. I've been training and this I'm not able to do it well. So, but when you are in a team, when you want to do 5 kilometers, then you have another part. Oh, today we can make it 7 or 10. So it always give you motivation.
We are talking about the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon that's taking place this week around the world, the virtual race. You can basically just register and run from anywhere and just clocking your timings, or the physical run that's taking place on Sunday in Nairobi. Just because of COVID-19, they're restricting the number of people who will participate. That's why the virtual run is actually now being the one that we're encouraging everybody to take part in. You just choose which day between Monday, this week, 2 days ago, or today, or tomorrow, or Friday that you'd like to run. run, download the Strava app, clocking your time, and you have participated in the Nairobi Marathon. That's a very good thing. In the studio with us is world record holder, 3 world record holders, Kenyan champion Henry Wanyoike and recreational runner Sarah Mwala. Both of them are participating in the Sunday run. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, 7:30. Let's take a break. Let's see how the roads are looking like, and then we continue the conversation.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
Hello.
Halo, umesikia?
Nimesikia nini?
Hujasikia habari? Hebu acha nikuambie. Kile kimetokea.
Hello? Hello? Hello?
Don't wait for hearsay. Dial *550*2# to read the Nairobian e-paper from the convenience of your mobile phone for only 20 shillings from your telecom line, and stay up to date. The hottest talk of town with no additional charges.
Classic soul, R&B, smooth jazz, neo soul, and nostalgic ballads.
Make some noise. Yeah.
You're listening to Spice FM. The weather with
Mostly
Spice
cloudy
FM.
conditions at 16 in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 14. It's sunny in Nakuru at 14, highs of 24 and lows of 14 today. Eldoret is sunny at 14, highs of 25 and lows of 12, while it's a rainy morning in Nyeri at 16, highs of 24 and lows of 15. Rain showers in Mombasa at 25, highs of 29 and lows of 24, while in Malindi it's raining as well at 24. That'll be today's low, going to highs of 29. Kisumu is mostly sunny at 21, highs of 31 and lows of 19, while Kakamega is sunny as well at 19, highs of 29 and lows of 15. It's sunny in Kampala at 20, highs of 27 and lows of 18, while Dar es Salaam is cloudy at 25, highs of 31 and lows of 23. With a cloudy Johannesburg this morning at 14, highs of 21 and lows of 13, while in Lagos it's mostly clear at 25. That'll be today's low, going to highs of 31. Kinshasa, it's raining at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 23.
Spice up your life.
All right, Jogo Road spilling over just from the junction at Hamza and then out towards the City Stadium roundabout. Jogo Road has been one for the books this week, and it looks like it's not letting up, at least not anytime soon. And that industrial area circuit, Likoni Road, Lunga Lunga, and then out onto Lusaka and the interchange on Mombasa Road, that is one as well. Quite some heavy traffic there this morning. Gong Road also building up, as is other parts going into the city. Uhuru Highway and Aerodrome Road doing that dance again this morning. Mombasa Road, some pockets here and there around Imara Dime, and then out towards North Airport Road also continues to build up. The Southern Bypass looking pretty good, guys. Langata Road, though, is another story all together. Kiambu Road and the Thika Superhighway, again, coming together into that marriage of traffic. We're still dealing with that this morning. We'll keep looking at things as we go along. SpiceFMKE on Twitter is how you can get in touch with us this morning. Text on 40127.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right, so the conversation continues. It's 26 minutes to 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room. In the studio discussing this week's Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon with world record holder Henry Wanyoike. Broke his first world record when? In the year 2000. In the year 2000. At the turn of the millennium, you were breaking the record.
Yeah.
When everybody else was wondering about the millennium bug,
Yeah.
We're all going to disappear.
Yeah. Henry Wanyoike was breaking world record.
Yeah.
We've also been having a conversation with Sarah Mwala. She is a recreational runner. She's been running since 2015. She'll be participating in the Sunday marathon. But she steps out, and now we're joined by David Lawrence from Standard Chartered. Are you a runner yourself?
I'd say I'm a pretender. But I can do 10 kilometer under 1 hour.
You do 10 kilometer under 1 hour.
Yeah.
That's good, but that is good.
That's good.
10 kilometer under 1 hour, my friend.
No, I know.
Hey, that is good. So you've been running. Let's say you've also been, doing a couple of runs here and there, once in a while.
Yeah. So actually, I'll be doing my first marathon this year. There's a running culture in the bank, spearheaded by our CEO. So he started a running group as part of COVID. Just guys dealing with COVID, being that we postponed, the marathon last year. So he started a running group, and that's how I started participating. My timings were terrible, not consistent at all. You'd suffer the first five kilometers you've spent. But I think with time and putting a lot of energy in it, you get better. Now I'm enjoying it.
What exactly did you do? Because I think that's the crux for a lot of people.
Yeah.
That, all right, 5 kilometers, are you kidding? Let's just start with 500 meters.
Yeah.
How do you get beyond that? And then it becomes a culture, something that you get into. I'm asking that because we're saying, all right, impact for youth essentially is what we're trying to do with the marathon this year. And there are many people who would love to participate.
Yeah.
But the only thing that is blocking me from is this running thing that you're talking about,
thing,
right?
Yeah.
So how do you then get to the point where you're making it a culture and then you're able to impact lives? How did you do it?
So I started, it was running, walking. So I'd run maybe for 10 minutes, walk 5, run another 10. And then you find you can do the entire 5 kilometers. Then I did 10. I was like, so I can do it. But the timing was, so you don't focus on the time. So I wasn't focusing on the time or the speed at all. I was focusing on finishing.
Right.
Yeah. And then if you have a group of people that you're doing it together with, then they also challenge you and push you to do it. And since we were running as a team and we are all on Strava and you're looking at the leaderboard and everybody's completing. I think the first time I did 100 kilometers in a month, that is last year, October. So you create a group, you set a target, so it was 100 kilometers, and everybody was, running towards that target. And by end of October, I cleared it.
So you feel motivated because you can see other people are doing it.
You set a target and you hit it. So I think that what drives you.
What was your initial target? To do 25 for the 4 weeks? Or did you start with, let's say, 15 and then you increase?
So that's the funny part because I was so inconsistent. Because there's a day I remember, I had one day to finish. I had 20-something kilometers to go. And then I pushed myself. It was raining, but I pushed myself to cross the line. So I don't know, setting a target kind of pushes you to run and get there.
All right.
Yeah.
So as Standard Chartered, as you're organizing this year's marathon, you also then set targets.
Yep.
You have a target and you've decided this year, because of COVID, we want to have X number of people participating in the physical run.
Yep.
How many are those? And what was your target and how many have registered for the physical run?
So the physical run, actually right now we're trying to manage the numbers because the interest is
There are more
crazy.
people.
It's overwhelming.
It's overwhelming. I think it's because of the new route on Southern Bypass. So the target was 2,500, of course, based on sports, Minister of Sports and Health, Minister of Health guidelines. So the target is 2,500. We're almost there. I think we passed 2,200 last night. So it's just ensuring that now we're looking at the timings. Are you vaccinated or have you done your test? Because that is critical for the day. So that was physical is 2,500. For the virtual, we were a bit ambitious, 1,500. I think we are almost at 6,000. Let me say 6,000.
About 6,000 have already registered for the virtual run.
Already registered, and there's a lot of interest. With now guys starting posting, I've cleared my distance. They're looking at the leaderboard, because once you finish, you're able to upload your time, and then guys look at the leaderboard on the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon website, and the interest is coming up, and it's across the globe. We have
Of the 7,000 who've registered, how many have already, clocked in their timings?
I'll need to check that. So we started on Monday.
Yeah.
And what we did, our partners, Dimension Data, they're hosting their run together. So the physical aspect is still important even for the virtual. So guys are running as teams. So you either run with your friends or your families or with your colleagues. So we joined them in Karura, and there we were like almost 100 people participating in that run. And that was like the official, launch of
the launch of the virtual run.
Virtual runs.
Right.
Yeah. And we have several happening across the country, actually. Kakamega, Masile Muliro University, there are like 410 people who will be running on Friday. I think Mombasa is the same. A good number will be running on Saturday. We have guys in Nanyuki, Nakuru. Even the governors are involved, in Nanyuki, Kericho, Eldoret. So we have hotspots. I can call them hotspots across the country. Over and above Karura, Arboretum, and Gong Race Course.
And outside the country?
Outside the country, the list is endless. I think we have guys from America, US, Australia, Bangladesh, Burundi. There's a lot of interest from China, even India, Indonesia, Hong Kong. It's a big list. I think almost 20 countries already.
Wow.
Have registered for the virtual. And that's the beauty of the virtual. Like you can run. You don't have to come to Nairobi. And even for our branch network, we see a lot of participation from the branches as well. Because they don't have to travel to Nairobi to participate and support future makers. So they can run from wherever they are. And that is interesting.
Very interesting. Henry, why would you encourage people to take part in this marathon this year?
Come again?
Why would you encourage people to take part in this year? Why is it the marathon you want to run, even if it's your maiden one?
Okay, thank you. I love to encourage people to participate in the Nairobi Marathon, as they have been participating for the last 16 or 17.
The 18th edition.
Now this is the 18th edition, and I would love to say thanks for those who have been participating for these years, and because they have been supporting the great initiatives of the Singers Believing Now Future Makers. When you're running, that energy and the resources you give towards the Standard Chartered Marathon don't go unnoticed. People are benefiting. As I said before, you can imagine 200,000 kids being operated. Now they're able to see again. You can see that sweat. Whatever people have done, they have been able to improve the lives of many Kenyans. And it has a lot of big impact. Even now for the future makers, you can see how many young people who would be able to go into benefit during the run, during the energy people are going to use on that day, the resources, and whatever they have done to ensure that everything is working on well. So I would have to encourage them. Whatever they do, it has a lot of impact at the end of the day. And I would have to appreciate even for those who are doing it physically and those who are doing it virtual. Please continue supporting, because many people are benefiting. So it's not the people who are doing it on their own, they are benefiting for their fitness and for their health, but they are also impacting the lives of other people who are outside there. And the young people, they need to be motivated. They need to be told this is the way to go. The money which is raised at the moment is supporting the entrepreneurship. They are being shown how they can be able to be very good in business. So it has a lot of meaning. So when anyone participating, and I would have to encourage more, but we still have time before Sunday. People should continue registering, either physical or virtual, so that we can be able to make the difference together. And I believe by the end of Sunday, we will have made a big impact to this country. And Nairobi Marathon is the best in the whole of Africa. There is no other good marathon or bigger marathon like in Nairobi Marathon. So we have to encourage people to continue because it also because of like the tourism. Because of the tourism, it has a lot of meaning. And then people would have to see why Kenyans are doing so well outside there. So when they see people running here in their own soil, it's a good thing to show the world this is what we do it and this is how we perform. Right. So when we do it here in Kenya, it has a lot of meaning even to those who are outside Kenya. They are motivated also to come to, and when they come here in Kenya, it is good for tourism.
You know, there's something that you said about your previous experiences with marathons, especially at the very beginning. Things like you went with the wrong shoes, you did not know about timing for your water stations and all those. Now, there are people who are running, like those who are doing the virtual ones. Let them hear it from the expert, from the professional who does this, for a living and as a recreation as well, and you're really well experienced. What is important when you're starting a run, when you're starting to prepare for a marathon and when you're running?
Okay, for those who want to participate on either virtual or physical, the best thing is that don't try to use the new shoe on the same day you are running or you are competing.
Don't buy a shoe on Saturday, wear it on Sunday.
Yeah, so
Henry, you know there are people who've bought shoes.
Unajua hii kiatu ni ya marathon.
If you're breaking the shoe the same day.
Yeah, so it is good. It is advisable at least you have a shoe like for a month, so that it gets used to your foot. So this is one thing they should know, that don't buy the shoe today and then tomorrow you use it. You might end up having the same problem you have in the first marathon in Japan. Then the other thing is that even the clothes sometimes you need to wear it like for 1 day or 2 days so that it gets used to your body, because you might even use the t-shirt or the short, which is not good for you during the competition day, and you end up having still other challenges. Then I prefer people. I always tell people like this week, if they are competing on Sunday or any other day they are participating, they need to be drinking a lot of water. It's very, very important. That's because of dehydration.
How much water per day?
When you are training, you require a lot of water. So I can say that you need like the 80 glasses, where most of the people that you need to drink 80 glasses. As sportsman, because when you sweat, you lose a lot of water. So you need to keep drinking a lot of water, so that you don't get dehydration during the day. And then this is the time again to eat nice food like fruits and also food with the starch, so that you can have the energy to do the run. And then people need like this week they should know, if you want to participate and you want to see yourself winning or finishing the race, you need to also to give time to relax. So this is not the time to go to bed like 12 or after 12. So there are some people who want to go up to 2 in the morning, and on the next day they want to participate in the marathon. So this time they need to relax very well. And again, they need like to be well prepared. Like they should not stay that I'll just wake up on Saturday and done. So I hope they have been training. And if not so, maybe there are 2 days for preparing themselves. And then the other thing is that no one should, as Sarah said, no one should run with somebody else's pace. You'll be disappointed on the way. So it is good to be well prepared, that I'm running on my own days. Maybe you can run with your watch, and then this is the target I have. Even if it is for 10 minutes per kilometer, that is okay. You just see the starting and they see the finishing when you are when you are smiling. Because sometimes people, when they are finished, they don't like to. They are not smiling anymore because they are very tired. So so it is good when they start to. They should be training like these days, and not very like now. It is the training should be light training, not too much training, because you need that energy for the real day, the big day.
A couple of things that you've said there, I'd like you to give a little bit more detail. This is in terms of sleep and rest.
Yeah.
How much sleep would you recommend this week per night or per day?
It depends, and maybe like 6 hours, not 8 hours, because maybe you might be working at 8 hours. and so it is good. But try to have enough rest, so that your body can be able to respond well on the day you want to go to participate. Because when you are tired, sometimes you don't have that energy to do the run during the day. Like on Sunday, for those who are doing it physically on Sunday, and you are competing with the other guys who might be disappointed because by the end of the run, you feel that you doesn't have any more energy. So it is good, and it is very advisable to have a good rest for these 4 days remaining.
Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of water, how much water do you take, you, Henry Wanyoike?
Myself, in a day I can take even 4 liters. In a day, because you lose a lot of water. So 4 liters, you keep, you don't take it. You don't take it once. So you need to have like a bottle of water wherever you are going, so that when you feel like I need some water, you just take some water. Literally through by the end of the day, even like that. Like for us, when you wake up, the first thing you have like a glass of water before you go to run. Then after the run, you come and take another glass of. So you need to keep refueling your body with enough water.
Right.
Yeah, and also some fruits like banana, they are also good for, they give you instant energy. I prefer for those who are participating, it is good like when you are going for even if it is virtual, please maybe have a banana. It helps a lot to give you the energy. So even if, maybe after the run you can have a banana, or maybe during the race you can decide where to have a banana on the way. Eat it. It helps a lot. Maybe you doesn't have those Powerades or energy things to take on the way. So it is good to have something to help give you more the instant energy to continue to the finish. Because sometimes if you are taking just the plain water, sometimes by the end of the run, if you are doing like the full marathon, you doesn't have any more energy. So if it is possible, somewhere you are running and maybe you have your colleagues who are cheering you, or they are on the way, they can organize. You can organize to have maybe a banana or something sweet. You can maybe put honey in your water, so that you can be able to have more energy during the race. Yeah.
Henry, I want to divert slightly from Standard Chartered Marathon, just slightly for a minute. You are an extremely important inspiration, not just because you've won, but because of the obstacles you've had to overcome, including losing your sight.
Yeah.
How many other individuals do we have in this country who have lost their sight and who have taken up the mantle of following in your footsteps?
Okay, since the year 2000, that time the sports for people with disability were not very popular. But after my victory in Sydney, I have seen many athletes coming up so well, and they are doing so most of the time. With these guys, they normally come to me. We train some days together with them. Then sometimes I go to where they are. I've been going to during the inter-schools competition for both primary and high school. I've been going there to just motivate them. When they see me and they hear my name, it is always good for them, and they do very well. So sometimes they call me. Sometimes I'm in the media talking about about sports for the people with disability, and this has been able to encourage more people with handicap to participate. If you can check, we have been doing so well in the recent years. We have been doing so well in the Paralympics. It's only this year we didn't perform well, but for the other years, we have been doing extremely well, winning even 7 gold medals on both track and on the field. We have been doing so well. So I'm happy that we have many upcoming who are participating. And I normally visit even those people, like now next week after the Standard Chartered Marathon, I'll be in Etana and some parts of Rift Valley, talking to these people who want me to go there and share with them on how they can be able to start and be in the sport for those who are handicapped.
Is this your own initiative, Henry, or is it something that you also get encouragement and assistance from other agencies, organizations, people?
Okay, it has been my own initiative, but through the support like of Standard Chartered, they have been supporting me in a big way. And that is why I have this energy to do all this. When you have people who are behind you and supporting you, you just feel good. As I told you, I have been challenging people. Like there was a time we did the Kilimanjaro, and those people who we did, they couldn't believe that with the visual impairment, being a visual impaired, I cannot make it to the summit. But they could. I was the first to be at the summit, and so this is a great motivation even when we are doing. But this was also, we are doing it for a worthy cause. When we are doing it for the Sing is Believing. So when I'm doing all this, people they are quite encouraged, and they just feel good to participate in the marathon. Like now, the whole of this I've been working with one of the good well-known musician, Pedicare. He was here in the country, and he has written a song for me. So he just came to, because he has realized what I have been doing. He's based in Germany, and he was here, and he is happy from what he has seen me doing. So you see from what we have been doing, that it has really impacted other people, and we want to see more and more people participating.
Henry, how many state commendations have you received?
3 have received the honor of Golden Warrior, and then the Golden Heart, and also the Head of State Commendation. 3 from the president, and also have been awarded in the most prestigious sports award, being the Sportsman of the Year for 2 times in Lisbon and Portugal.
Yeah.
And also more is being in the Guinness Book of Records. Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
So in the country, the highest state commendation that you have is the Golden Heart.
Yeah.
This is what, Morano, the Golden Heart.
Yeah.
Okay.
So at least you can see
MGH.
Eric, you're the expert in this. Which is the highest?
It's the C.
C?
CGH.
That is?
President.
Only?
Chief of the Order of the Golden Heart.
Golden Heart.
Chief. So it's only the
Eliud
president.
Kipchoge got the EGH.
Yeah.
Which is elder.
Elder.
But only the president. So you have to be president to get the CGH.
Yes.
I see.
So if that's what you're gunning for, then you know what you ought to gun for.
You know what you need to do. Thank you very much for joining us, guys, and we're looking forward to those who will be participating on Sunday to seeing you breaking a new record for Nairobi. Just break the record for Nairobi, just for the sake of it. Just say, you know what,
completely.
you know,
that
the fastest
it doesn't matter.
in Nairobi.
Just to see yourself and showing up, and also either virtually or physically, you'll be very happy to see people on the street coming even to cheer.
Have you guys registered?
Let's pay tribute to the person who runs next to you.
Yeah.
And this is your guide. What's the name of your current guide?
Yeah, he's Paul Kihuba. He's also my good guide. You know, it is, as I said, it is teamwork. When I'm down, he's there to lift my spirit high. So he has been.
So this one can now do 42 kilometers with you. You don't need to change him.
You know, I don't need to change. He did a very good run in Berlin Marathon this year. So it is good to have one person.
His name is David.
Paul Kihuba.
Paul.
Yeah,
he becomes the full tank.
Yes, he becomes full tank.
Yeah.
Fully loaded.
Yeah, fully
Can
loaded.
he run a marathon by himself?
Yeah, he can do. He has done it before. And so he's very good. No, with the guide, he does a lot of work. And it requires a lot of trust. And this is, like for the Standard Chartered, it's all about trust. People trusting them with their money.
Sure.
And also trusting them with their energy and participating for Standard Chartered Marathon. So trust is very, very important. This is good for everyone who is going to participate.
You are such a good brand ambassador.
I'm telling you, Standard Chartered, you need to stay with him
Take it out of my mouth. I was thinking the same thing. I'm saying, surely.
David, he does this very well.
Pivot the conversation. Whatever you ask him, he'll bring in the Standard Chartered Marathon.
Yes.
You know, it's a trust. my guy.
Yeah.
He's very good.
But Eric, these standard fellows must have something good about them.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good thing, and it's a very good job that you guys are doing at the Standard Chartered Bank.
They are giving back
in
to
the
where they
country
get their
and globally.
business.
Yes.
We are happy when they are, when you're associated with the company which is giving back to the society.
You feel good.
You feel good.
They say here for good.
Yeah, they are here for good. Yeah.
Henry Wanyoike, award-winning marathoner from Kenya. 3 world records haven't been touched. One is 21 years old. Hasn't been broken. He's been with us in the studio. And David Lawrence, he is from the Corporate Affairs Department at the Standard Chartered Bank. He's also, this guy has done 100 kilometers in a month.
Yes.
Why?
It's a guy who runs 10 kilometers
Well
a day.
done. Well done.
He falls in the category of people you don't joke with.
No, you don't. No, you don't. These are people that you respect.
Yes.
Constantly. Thank you very much for joining us,
Thank
guys.
you very much.
Asante
Thanks
sana.
so much for having
Keep it right
us.
here for more conversations in the Situation Room. It's now 8 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Assetto. President Uhuru Kenyatta has cautioned that in the absence of urgent climate change adaptation action, Africa's gross domestic product risks contracting by up to 30% by the year 2050. He says evidence indicates that climate change will have a devastating socio-economic impact across the world and quite severely in Africa. Consequently, the president rallied the global community to support the accelerated rollout of adaptation programs in Africa so as to mitigate against the growing adverse effects of climate change as well as strengthen the continent's resilience. The head of state's message was delivered at a hybrid conference on adaptation to celebrate the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Day, a precursor to the United Nations Climate Change Conference COP26 that will be held in Glasgow, Scotland. Now, outstanding nurses from across the country will on 3rd December be feted for their role in the promotion of primary healthcare in government-run levels 2 and 3 health facilities during this year's Beyond Zero Summit to be held in Nairobi County. Chief of Staff in the Office of the First Lady, Miss Constance Gakonyo, said First Lady Margaret Kenyatta will present the awards to the finalists at the summit, which is second to be held under the aegis of the Beyond Zero initiative. Apart from individual awards, outstanding initiatives or projects led by nurses in level 2 to 5 in government health facilities from each of the 47 counties will also receive team recognitions. Now, Our Lady of Mercy Adurkoit Girls head teacher Mary Watima has urged parents to heed the Ministry of Education's order to ensure that girls who give birth at home resume their studies. Speaking at the institution, Watima said the Adurkoit school has students who come from disadvantaged families, a situation that threatens their education. She called on all stakeholders to join hands to ensure the girls get a better future. Trans Nzoia County investigation officers are expected to bring to justice the man who killed his wife by hitting her with a blunt object on the head. Kolongolo County Chief Alex Wakabeti said that the suspect Joseph Ofula, a 45-year-old resident of Muthui village, left his wife with severe head injuries, took her to a nearby thicket and left her unconscious before going to the police station to report that his wife had disappeared. Wakabeti says the Good Samaritans found the mother of 6 in critical conditions and told them that she had been beaten by her husband. She died shortly after being admitted to Kitale Level 4 Hospital. Detectives have rescued a 14-year-old boy after he was set ablaze by 2 of his brothers last evening in Mandera County. According to the DCI, the Class 7 pupil at Kamoru Primary School in Mandera was lured to their house by his mischievous brothers Ibrahim Ahmed and Yusuf Ahmed before being rolled up in a mattress, doused in petrol and set on fire. The pupil had been accused of being a witness in a case that his brother Ibrahim Ahmed was accused of stealing a mobile phone. The DCI says after setting him ablaze, the 2 brothers immediately went into hiding, leaving their little brother for dead. The Human Rights Lobby has predicted that cases of arbitrary arrest, torture, inhuman treatment and extrajudicial killings attributed to police will rise by the end of the year. The Independent Medical Legal Unit says that its data analysis on such cases reported to police last year compared to the ones highlighted this year suggest a worrying trend. The data suggests that from January to December last year, 59.6% of the cases reported by the public were torture, violence, inhumane and degrading treatment. And Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta says Aiden Keita has a future at the club after he scored to help the Gunners see off Leeds United and reach the Carabao Cup quarter-final. Substitute Colum Chambers' header crept over the line seconds of coming off the bench before former Leeds lone Keita pounced to wrap up the tie. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Assetto.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
It's built up considerably on Mombasa Road this morning, and that's inbound to the city. It's going to take some time to get out of this one. While you were away, Aerodrome Road got packed, and it's filling up then onto Uhuru Highway. And we're looking at in- and outbound traffic on Uhuru Highway this morning, coming off of Haile Selassie Avenue. Haile Selassie feeding from Kamkunji at the roundabout, and then from this other side as well. Doesn't look too pretty, folks. And Gong Road as well is quite tight, as is Langata Road. So we are in the middle of traffic hour this morning. It looks like it's going to take a while. Industrial area, that entire circuit is packed. Thika Superhighway is actually doing very well today. We only have traffic as far back as Survey for now. Hopefully it doesn't fill up more than that. Kiambu Road in and outbound is traffic madness this morning. And also we're looking at heavy traffic coming out of Parklands, Limuru Road, then getting in towards Westlands or going towards the city. We are in traffic hour. Let's see what it looks like in a short while. But for now, if you're in it, you're in it. Hopefully you can get through without too much of an issue. The bypasses will help you. If you've not gotten to the mess of it yet, use the bypasses. SpiceFM KE on Twitter is how you can get in touch. Let's text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room.
It is indeed. It's the third hour of the show, this 27th day of October 2021, 6 minutes after 8. Thank you very much for tuning into The Situation Room. It's Kenya's biggest conversation. Before we welcome everybody else, let's first of all hear today's proverb from Turkana.
Yes. Aburo niepi ngesi eriri emun.
You're really getting tempted to say abiro.
Actually, I have to just stop myself from saying abiro because that is what would come naturally to me. But aburo, and I'm thinking now, that one, is it past, present, or future tense? Niepi ngesi eriri emun. Translation, when the leopard comes to you, the club at your neighbor's house won't drive him off.
When in SpiceFM KE, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Now, for the next 1 hour, we are going to talk about crime scenes, crime scene investigation. CSI Nairobi premieres on SpiceFM. Play the sick tune. All right? Heading this conversation is Chief Inspector, a forensics detective from the Forensics Crime Scene Investigations at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations. His name is Chief Inspector Nguka. When we shared the promo for Chief Inspector Nguka's visit, everybody told me, good luck with pronouncing his first name. Let me spell his first name, then he will pronounce it himself. A-R, what is it? Just spell it. Because I don't even know the spelling now, I've lost it.
You've lost the spelling?
Yes. Anyway, A-R-P-H-A-X-A-D. A-R-P-H-A-X-A-D. Chief Inspector Nguka, what's your first name?
My first name is Arfaxad Nguka Oange.
It's a Greek name, this one.
It's a Christian name. First Chronicles, verse 1:18.
Yes.
Arfaxad was the grandson of Noah. So it's a Christian name.
Arfaxad Nguka.
Yes.
Our second guest in this crime scene investigation show is Sarah Nyakeo. She's from the Independent Medical Legal Unit. She's an assistant programs officer in communication and advocacy. Good morning, Sarah.
Good morning.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Now, we're going to have a conversation about the importance of crime scene management. And I think we first of all need to understand what's a crime scene. We may assume, but it's important to get it from the expert. C.I. Nguka, what is a crime scene?
Okay, I'll try and use the simplest of terms. A crime scene is a location. A crime scene is a location, an object, or a body where an act or omission that amounts to an offense has occurred, and you're most likely to get evidence. That is a crime scene. So it may be a place, a location, it may be an object, or a human body. Yeah. And the issue of an act or omission that amounts to an offense has occurred. For example, this room it cannot be a crime scene because whatever we're doing right now does not relate to any offense, any commission.
However, should there be a complaint thereafter that there's something that could have happened, it then becomes a crime scene.
CSI Nairobi is in.
Bas. Okay. Yes, City.
No, just go on.
Huh?
I will ask what I want to ask.
This will come in later.
Yeah, I'll ask it later.
Okay. So many times we see detectives who go into a crime scene and then it's cordoned off with a tape, or police officers just standing and saying, all right, so don't approach here. Police are doing some work, they're investigating. And this is now when crime scene investigators come in. Who are these and what's the expertise of a forensics investigator such as yourself?
Pardon, I didn't get your last question.
It's the people who come into a crime scene to start investigations. What kind of expertise do they need to have?
Okay. Now, crime scene investigations, it starts with the first responders. Now, the first responders means and includes the neighbors. The first police officer at the scene of crime, and also the final bit is the experts. Now, forensic expert, for you to be a crime scene investigator, you have to be a forensic expert. You have to be groomed and to be grounded in thorough forensics training. It takes time, and of course you have to be a police officer because the act on police mandates the DCI to carry out forensic analysis. So you have to be a police officer. But then crimes investigation it needs the stakeholders. So when the wananchi out there are aware, the first responders, they'll be able to also help in preserving the crime scene, because there's no need for an expert to get on the scene and get evidence that will not help.
Yeah.
Maybe it was not preserved properly, maybe it was raining, and whoever was there. No, evidence is transit in nature. It means it after some time it will disappear. So it's a partnership. So crime scene investigations will work better when the wananchi out there know what they're supposed to do. And if they help in this, we'll always have proper crime scene investigations. We'll always have watertight cases with evidence that is independent, you cannot penetrate, and we'll have an effective criminal justice system.
Do we find that there is tampering with some of these scenes that then does not allow this last thing you have said to happen, that you can have watertight cases, that you can have proper presentation of evidence, and that you would essentially see the expansion of justice? Do we find that there's a lot of tampering of these cases or mismanagement of these scenes that then stops the latter from happening?
Okay, what I can say is that you can never have a perfect situation, and every case has its own merits. And tampering of evidence may occur out of your conscience, or you may not be. You may not know whatever you're doing is tampering. But in numerous cases, from our studies and from what we've heard, it is possible to tamper evidence, and so that is why crime scene investigation is all about, to prevent the tampering of evidence in crime scenes.
But do we see that is rampant in the country?
Not just in the country. Those are facts that you're trying to put in. Remember the O.J. Simpson case?
Yeah.
It was in the U.S. What happened?
The glove didn't fit.
Sure.
Sarah, as the independent medical legal unit, there's a lot of work in advocacy that you've done in terms of, police reforms and all, and making sure that there's some secure route to justice. What role do you play in looking at what we are discussing today, crime scene and crime scene management?
First of all, I would like to start with that IMLU is a dispenser of one of the dispensers of justice, and one of the interests that made us go this route on crime scene investigations and crime scene management for a fact is that we've somehow lost a lot of cases, and we've also seen the public tampering with crime scenes. We've also seen our own police officers tampering with cases. And I would like to refer to what Nguka said, our CSI, that we looked at different cases, and we looked at, for example, the Willie Kimani case, where we had the public was so angry and it went and burnt the police station, where Willie was in the police station. Recently, we saw the Kenjakoma brothers, where the public was angry and they burnt the police car. And we also looked at, for example, the case of Ivy Wangeshi, who was a student at Moi University, and we saw a police officer holding the axe that the student was hacked with. And even recently, we saw the issue on the accident in Siaya, the issue of the petrol tank that overturned, and a lot of our the public members were killed in the accident. And we saw there was a problem, and we needed to create awareness. So for us, one is to create awareness on the importance of securing a crime scene and why evidence is important, because we are almost having our 30th birthday very soon, and we've realized that the public is not aware that if we preserve the crime scene, we help in executing the justice. And tampering of crime scenes equals to miscarriage of justice. Then the next thing that we want to inform the public, it's the cooperation in terms of crime scene management. We've seen instances where the public has had to be dispersed using tear gases, where we've now had to have police brutality in that issue. So for us, it's public awareness. We also want to have cooperation during crime scene management. And the third and the most important one is to just remind our police officers, because during the campaign, I've visited 10 counties where we have been meeting county commanders. And I remember one county commander saying that the first officer at a crime scene determines the direction that the case takes. So that is our mandate, and that is what we hope to achieve with this campaign as for now.
Who would you say participates the most in the mismanagement of these scenes? Because, I mean, clearly, you've given so many examples of areas where, things have not gone right, right? And then the miscarriage of justice then happens as a result of that. So who would you say participates here the most?
I would not like to pick one person, but for me, it's the public for sure, because the public members are the first responders in all the crime scenes. And the next people are people from GAO, the assistant chiefs, the chiefs, and thirdly, the police officers. So for me, it's the public, because they're the first people who come on all crime scenes at the first people,
Or the perpetrators, like in the case of lynching. And then someone dies. We saw one case recently where a suspect is out of custody and then ends up somewhere, ends up being lynched, but the public dies. So in that case, how would you preserve this crime scene?
After lynching, before lynching.
In this whole, so the person has been lynched, the person has died. So this now, I assume it becomes a crime scene. Now, what evidence would you be looking out for in this particular case?
Okay. It's a case of lynching. That means that there are so many people in that scene. So the first procedure there is safety. If you're a first responder or you are a police officer, the first issue to look at is your own safety and the safety of the people who are doing the lynching there, and also the victim. So you have to weigh out and see, how are you going to assist? How are you going to get in? If you're alone, you have to call for backup, and then you have to ensure that safety. Now, because this situation is that it's lynching going on, and people have their tempers on, and they're pressured up. So you need to use your soft skills now. You need to, now to look for a way of addressing them and telling them to stop, or if it is dead, you have to tell them that this is now a crime scene. You're supposed to be off. Whatever you're doing, the act in itself, taking justice into your own hands is wrong. So you have to convince them. And at most times, the public are always aware of this. And when you approach them in a soft tone and in a convincing way, they'll always give way. So you have to now to cordon the scene, and you have to get them off the scene. You get them off the scene, and then as you're getting them off, you have to be looking out for possible witnesses. You have to ensure that I saw this guy here, these are witness, or these are suspects. As you're cordoning off, and you have your notebook, you cordon off. Now, in cases like this, you have to look at the victim. Now, it's only a doctor who will say that so-and-so is dead. But then there are scenarios where if you look at the victim, you'll be able to tell, okay, there's no way you can save his life. When you find that maybe someone has decomposed, highly decomposed, you'll know that, okay, I cannot save his life. Or maybe as is maybe highly disfigured, or maybe the head has been maybe smashed up. You'll know that definitely that right now I cannot save life. Now, from there, you cannot save his life now. You have to document the scene. You do a documentation, and then you do your search. You do a crime scene search. You look for evidence. Then you connect your team. And as usual, when you go inside the crime scene, you always follow a safe pathway. You do not approach the scene from where there was the most activities, because definitely you are going to introduce other matters. Remember that crime scene is based on the Lockhart principle, that every touch leaves a trace. So you have to look for a safe pathway, so that you do not also become part of the offense that is going on there. Then you'll have to call the medics. But then you had called them; they'll be over there. They too, when they'll be coming to remove the body, they too will have to follow a safe pathway. And most of the medics, like the Red Cross, our stakeholders, always see that they're always aware of this. So, and they always cooperate. Then you had begun your documentation, so the body has to be documented, of the evidence as it was. It is done in situ. So you have to document. Then after you're done, you do your analysis, and then you do a final walkthrough to see if everything is order. Then maybe there'll be a senior officer or the owner of the house. You release back the scene to them, probably with your notes, and you tell them this is the situation that I got here. There was a victim, there's this evidence, there's these exhibits that we took, and you're finally done with the scene. You want it back over to whoever is responsible.
Is this all done always with the thought in mind that this information could essentially prosecute or justify someone? As in, do you go into a crime? And because I'm linking this directly to what Sarah has said, is that, we're looking at issues of the miscarriage of justice sometimes. So when you're entering into a situation like this, are you always thinking that whatever I find here, or how I manage this, or how I carry out this situation could essentially help someone in the future? Or is it just to document it and keep it on the back burner for future use?
Okay. I really didn't get your question right, but if I got it right, you see, forensic science is all about the facts and the truth. And it doesn't matter whether whatever evidence you have is going to be is going to help the prosecution or the defense. We handle the facts as they are. We do our analysis as they are, and we are on the side of the court. So whenever we are doing our forensic investigations, at the back of our mind is that we are trying to help the court.
Okay.
The evidence is for the court, and it's for whoever wants to get the information right.
Okay.
So it does not matter whether at that particular time, whatever you got, the fingerprints will end up being the guy who's on the prosecution or not. That is the fingerprint that we have. So that is what will we'll go further to the lab we'll give it further to the lab for analysis.
You know, when you talk about forensics, and rightfully as you've put it, you're talking about science. Now, the crime that has been, and this is what I was thinking about when I first wanted to ask the question, I was thinking of a very modern crime, cybercrime. And then I was thinking about fraud. These are crimes that are committed, and the emanation of that particular crime is the mind. Cyber, it's in cyberspace. And I was thinking, with all these things, since there's a human being involved, then it stands to reason that the biggest crime scene is our minds, really, our brains. Because everything that we're talking about and the things that we are discussing, that's where they start. And that's why I think the issue of communication to me sounds important, because for you to reduce the elements of crime, or for you to be able to ensure that, as you say correctly, crime scenes are not tampered with, it's the mind that needs to be approached more than anything else.
Okay. I look at it at a legal perspective. Crime has elements. There's the mens rea and there's the actors there. So it will be in your mind. But before you execute it, it's not a crime. So you have to execute it first. So as long as you can keep it inside your mind, you can have it in your thought process, well and good. But the moment you take an act and you decide and you press the key, enter, in cybercrime, now that is now when it turns into something else.
So what you're saying, Mr. Kuka, is that I can kill you in my mind as much as I like.
As long as
I don't take a knife and head in your direction, it is okay.
No one can accuse you of anything.
It's in your mind. Of course, that is why we are human. We have the ability to think and to gauge whatever we're about to do, is it right or wrong?
Let's take a break at this point. We're having a CSI Nairobi conversation this morning. And joining us in the studio is the Chief Inspector of Police, Fraxad Ngoka. He's a forensics detective with the DCI. And Sarah Nyakeo from the Independent Medical Legal Unit. What is it that we all need to know so we can preserve crime scenes? The importance of crime scene management and especially preservation of all the evidence that's found there. Now, when the CSI gets there, what do they expect to find? How can we help when they're getting there so they can find everything as it was? 28 minutes after 8. This is Kenya's biggest conversation on SpiceFM, online and on KTN Home. Time for a quick break. We'll be back shortly. This is CSI Nairobi.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life. 24/7, around the world, non-stop. This is SpiceFM.
On your march. Set.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual Marathon and Elite Marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, medal, and bag. Kits will be collected at either KICC or at selected hotspots. All proceeds from the marathon go to help young people learn, earn, and grow through our Future Makers program. Join us and let us run as one. Standard Group are proud to be the official media partners of the Stanchart Marathon 2021.
Sugar and spice and everything nice, everything nice. SpiceFM.
17 degrees and mostly sunny conditions in Nairobi, highs of 25 and lows of 14. It's partly sunny at 17 in Nakuru, highs of 24 and lows of 14. It's raining in Nyeri at 17. We'll see lows of 14 and highs of 24. While Eldoret is sunny this morning, we'll see highs of 25 and lows of 12. In Kisumu, it's sunny at 22, highs of 31 and lows of 19, while in Kakamega, sunny conditions at 23. We'll see lows of 15 and highs of 29. Continues to rain in Mombasa at 27, highs of 29 and lows of 24, while in Malindi, raining as well at 27, highs of 29. Kampala is mostly sunny at 23. We'll see highs of 27 and lows of 18, while it's mostly cloudy in Dar es Salaam at 27. Highs will be at 31 and lows of 23. Johannesburg is cloudy at 14, highs of 21 and lows of 13, while Lagos is mostly clear at 25 with highs of 31. Kinshasa, it's raining at 25. We'll see highs of 31 and lows of 23.
Spice and everything nice. Alright, okay. SpiceFM.
Spice up your life.
All right, guys, what are we looking at? Mombasa Road is actually quite packed. Then heading out outbound, lots of traffic coming off Enterprise Road, heading onto Mombasa Road and out in that direction. And then inbound as well, right around Imara Diamond, but then you should be fine getting past General Motors. But then, guess what? At Uhuru Highway, right there at the Nyeri Stadium roundabout, you will get stuck again because traffic inbound is quite heavy and it still remains just so. Coming off Langata Road is no mean feat this morning. You're going to get stuck there at Aerodrome if you're using that as an option. But Gathi Way is also quite tight all the way to the connection with Ngong Road and then hang out to the Haile Selassie Avenue. All right, just like we thought, Thika Superhighway is not letting up and not anytime soon. Joining with Kiambu Road this morning, it doesn't look really pretty. We're also looking at traffic coming out of Westlands. So still that morning mishmash in traffic hour. We keep an eye on things. Help us out here, guys. Where you can use the bypasses, use them and don't get stuck in traffic. Talk to us on SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Text on 40127.
Chilled Spice. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice
Kenya's
FM,
biggest conversation
Nairobi.
continues 28 minutes to 9. This is CSI Nairobi having a conversation about importance of crime scene management with Chief Inspector of Police Arfaxat Nguka, Forensics Detective with the DCI, and Sarah Nyakeo, Assistant Program Officer, Communication and Advocacy at Independent Medical Legal Unit. So, Sia Nguka, as we were going to the break, we were talking about, the importance of understanding, first of all, the crime scene. Now, the thing that both you and Sarah have said is mostly the first person to arrive at the scene of crime is going to be the first responder. Many times, it's members of the public. And you will find that many times when you're responding so that you can see how to help. You're not going there so that you can tamper with evidence. It's how to help. You found somebody, maybe they've been injured, and you're trying to get them to a health facility, to get them to safety, to move them from there. So you're doing all these things. The first thing in your mind is how to save the person or the victim. Now, what is it that we need to do as we are doing all these things to preserve evidence so that when Chief Inspector Nguka and the team arrive, they can find something that can be used? What should the public know in various cases?
Okay, the public should always know that crime scenes, as first responders, we should always get that involved when it involves a matter of life and death, when there are people that need to be salvaged or to be helped or to be rescued. Now, in that instance, members of the public are advised to go and secure that life. But in most cases, we find that these are normal situations where there's no one who's at risk, there's no one who's at danger. They should just keep off the crime scenes. They just keep off. They help. They pull out the crowds. Because at times the crime scenes themselves may be dangerous to them. Most crime scenes are active scenes. They're still on it. So they have to get out from the crime scene. They get out of the crime scene. They call the police. They try to identify the perpetrators. At times they can even take photos, but from a safe distance. You can take your notes. You can document, because I've seen situations where photographs taken by witnesses, because he is now possibly a witness, and definitely the whoever would be investigating this case will be coming back looking for witnesses. So they can help in the investigation by that. They encourage others to get out from the scene as far as possible from harm. They can take their notes. They can record. Maybe it's a motor vehicle that was there. To record the number plate. Take any information that could help in the case and put it down. Members of the public can do that. Now, in terms of if in the event that someone is hurt, is involved, is safety. Now, when they are rescuing the person, as I said earlier, they should look for the safe pathway. Safe pathway meaning that they can look at the crime scene and they can tell that, okay, the guys who came, who did this, they followed this route. So they can follow a clear and a safe pathway to get the person out. And they can document that. So whoever will come, the officer will come, they'll just tell him that we came, we got inside the crime scene, and we were helping the victim, and we followed this route, but we've not walked into the other route, we've not touched anything. And then they should not touch any exhibit. They should not touch any exhibit. They should leave everything as it is. They should not use the facilities there, the washrooms, the dustbin, and all that. And they should not eat. So the best advice I can give is that let them just
keep off as much as you can.
Call the police.
I'd like to ask. I mean, what you're saying is fundamental. It's even simple and straightforward, but it's the very thing that people do not do.
Yeah.
Even when someone is killed, it's like people have to go and look and see.
You have to witness for yourself.
Yes, and get as close as possible. You almost get the impression they actually want to touch this person to determine if this person actually passed away or not. Now, Imlo, you are in communication.
Yeah.
This is where now partnerships with the police service comes in.
Yeah.
Do you people have plans? Yeah. Do you have
programs?
Yes, that ensure that you're constantly talking to the public about some of these things that they need to know. And using mechanisms that exist through the Ngao, through MCAs. You know, these fellows, we don't talk about them very often. Very important people here. Do you have such programs?
Yeah, and that's why we are here today. Because this is a campaign that we are doing countrywide, and the hashtag is to hifadhi crime scene. And one...
The HIFA?
To hifadhi crime scene. To hifadhi crime scene.
Hifadhi means?
To hifadhi, let's secure the crime scene. Right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So, and one of the strategies we are using, of course, is the media advocacy, which is why we are here today. The other thing the other strategy we are doing is that we are using information, education, communication materials. And I have one of it here. This is a brochure that we've printed and we are distributing and disseminating in the whole country. I did not carry the posters, but we also using the posters to just inform the public that we need to hifadhi the crime scene. And one of the strategies, I've heard you've talked about MCAs, and one of the strategies that we are using, our country is a very religious country, and everything the pastor says, they're going to listen. So one of the strategies we are using is we are working with religious institutions, for example, NCCK, CJPC, SUPChem, to just inform the congregations on the importance of crime scene management. So far we've reached 10 counties, and we are working with the county commanders. We are working with the Ngao in the different counties, and we hope to get to the 47 counties. But those are just one of the steps we are using to actually create awareness and just inform the public that actually securing a crime scene is a key in the criminal justice system. Yeah.
I mean, now, talking about partnerships, which clearly is, I mean, now you're talking to the media. You mentioned of the three people or the three groups that you're concerned about, the general public, and then chiefs and the Ngaos, and then the police. What strategic partnerships do you have with these two, Ngaos and chiefs and the police, that now to Hadithi the crime scene as we're looking towards the future? What partnerships?
Hifadhi,
because
not Hadithi.
Huh?
Hifadhi.
Sorry, help me. Hifadhi the crime scene. What? Because it seems to me as if it would be extremely important then, because you have those who would essentially mismanage it, but then you have those who are protecting it as well. What would you be looking for with partnerships with those two?
The police and the
Ngaos and chiefs, as you had mentioned.
And the Ngaos and chiefs. The police, for sure, we are working with the police station level police officers because they are the first responders when a crime scene happens. Apart from the public, they're the people who land there before the CSI come in. So we are ensuring that every police officers get that brochure first. And we are also working on it needs a whole lot of resources, but we are also working with the police training schools, the Kiganjos, the DCI school in South Sea, the GSU training in, for example, at All Soaps. We are working with the police training schools just to remind the officers that this is what happens, because in most cases, the police officers have been the people who are tampering with the crime scenes, and somehow they've forgotten. So we are working to ensure that all the police officers get that brochure, and working with the police training schools to ensure that this message is reminded to them oftenly that on the importance of crime scene management. I think on the Ngaos and at IMLU, we are very strategic with working with community policing, and people in community policing are the people who are also closest to the Ngaos. So we are working with the community policing committees and the Ngaos to just remind them when they go to their community barazas, just remind the public that what crime scene is about, the importance of securing a crime scene, and how tampering with the crime scene can actually change the face of a case. So that is what we are doing, working with the police training schools and working with the communities around community policing, the Nyumba Kumi initiatives, and the Ngaos together to ensure they eneza the message to the public.
To everybody.
Yeah.
Nguka, I think one thing very important, as we started off, you said that a crime scene can be a place, an object, or a person. And if we're looking at, very many cases whereby an individual is the crime scene, whether they're dead or alive, right? A lot of cases then that could essentially lead to justice is when we're looking at when an individual has been violated. What would you say we know the advice that we've heard from the police surgeon. We heard was when they say, take care of yourself before you go home and take a shower, for example, or you treat yourself. Somebody's been violated today. You who is coming from a forensics point of view, what would you advise somebody, for example, who's been raped, somebody who's been clobbered over the head, for example? What would you say? Don't seek self-treatment. Don't touch anything so that we can see you first. How would you go about that? What advice would you give today? Because it's still a thing.
It's a very, very important question. Most cases that, particularly of the sexual offences, defilements and rapes, the victims always, I don't know how I can put it, they victimize themselves. They wash up. They don't want to get reminded of the experience. Sure. They burn the clothes and all that. At the best forensic point of view is that they should not do that. They should report. They should not clean themselves. They should not. If they have to remove the clothes, then they have to pack them properly. Maybe if the clothes were torn. They have to pack them properly, and they have to wrap themselves with the new clothes. But all these have to be submitted. They have to accompany the victim to the hospital. So when seeking medical attention, they have to be as they were. When they wash up or they clean themselves, they are destroying evidence, and they are giving the perpetrator a chance to walk away scot-free.
What if you have a life-threatening injury? What do you do in that case? When the first thing would, make sense to seek medical attention, first aid. And here we are saying, because essentially, if you have you are hurt or you're injured, if you get treatment, you are tampering with the scene. You are.
Okay.
Whether it's good or not.
I'd said this.
Yeah.
The first protocol of crime scene is safety. Safety first. Your safety is much, much more important. You have to look at your safety first. And whoever is looking into your safety, he will tamper, but he'll not tamper with all the evidence because he has that in mind.
Okay.
But if you don't have that in mind, you'll end up cleaning yourself thoroughly, burning up the clothes and doing that. And you see, in most cases, you'll never get 100% of the evidence. You may get 80, 70. So we are trying to salvage. So if you are hurt, your hand was hurt, you'd put a bandage on it. Doesn't mean that you may use baby improviser clothing for bandage.
Sure.
It doesn't mean that you're going to wash your hands out and do that. Try and stop the bleeding. Call the police. Look for medical attention. Try to stabilize. They'll come over to you and they will do the right thing. They will know that this is this case. They'll help preserve the evidence. Yes.
But sometimes even when you think about medical care or medical attention, in my mind, it augments that evidence chain, because the fact that you're treating it will indicate to you the severity of it and the details that ordinarily you cannot actually see. And I also think that even if you clean it up, I'm talking about somebody who's been clobbered, has been in an accident, has been injured, is it really possible to obliterate and remove all the evidence?
But then it's not possible. But then it's an accident. I really fail to wonder, how will you go about as a first responder going to remove the clothes of the victim? It's always left for the medics. It's always left for the medics. And the medics, they know. They have their own procedures. They know how to preserve the clothing properly. They know how to treat the person, and they know how to. In fact, medics at times, most of the time, will also be part of the witnesses. You see, so it's always very rare to find that first responders, unless they're doing something else, maybe they have their own issues, but they'll always leave. They're supposed to leave the victim as he is, apart from trying to get him from the bad situation to a better situation. Then, if you're not a medic, you don't know what to do with the victim. So let the medics do their job.
You know, there have been talks, and I know I'm not asking this from the political angle. I'm asking this from the reality angle. There have been talk of better equipping, for example, our DCI and our police across the country, so that you're able to deal with the evidence. Now, we are talking about, for example, removing clothes. So here we are looking at the other small pieces of evidence, let's say high hair fiber or such. Are police adequately facilitated to capture all the evidence that they can at a crime scene, going beyond just taking the pictures, but going and getting the deeper evidence that could be there?
They are.
Across the country?
They are.
Uniformly?
Now, what you'll get in the scene will depend on the first responder, as he has aptly placed it. The direction of the case will be determined by the first person at the scene of crime. But I can tell you with confidence, we have CSI stations all over the country. We have CSI Mombasa, we have CSI Eldoret, CSI Busia, CSI Bungoma, CSI Nakuru, CSI Marsabit, CSI Mandera. As long as you, as a first responder, you cordon the scene and leave the rest to us.
In terms of infrastructure and facility and capacity, then, because this could dovetail directly from the saying that mismanagement, then, do you have, can you also speak with the same confidence and say that the service has all that it needs to make sure that from beginning to end of these processes, we will not have any issues?
What I can say is that what we have is adequate.
Okay.
We now have the state-of-the-art forensic lab at the DC headquarters. We have so many, quite a number of forensic disciplines like ballistics, fingerprints analysis, document examinations. We have what is adequate to keep the country going. Now, what we need to do is, as what my colleague, my sister is saying here, that we need to create awareness. That you see, I'm sure most members of the public who tamper with the crime scenes are oblivious of the fact that these are things that can be done in Kenya. It's no longer a CSI Miami thing. These are things that Kenyans can do. So if the members of the public are made aware that, okay, in as much as we watch this in the movies, if we leave the scene as it is, and we call the police and the CSI get in, it will be handled. If you, for example, phones. People nowadays, in as much as if they steal phones, they know that they'll be tracked. People tend to avoid, because it has gotten into the system of Kenyans that, okay, in as much as I'm doing this, someone somewhere will do his magic, will throw his magic dust and he'll get me.
Yeah.
So in the same way, Kenyans need to know that we have really developed the field of crime scene investigation and forensics at large. That you just leave crime scenes alone. Let the criminals do their business and the police will be there for them.
You know, something that when you talk about the movies that one sees about CSI, apart from the forensic scientists like yourself, among them they have social scientists, psychologists, sociologists. Do we have them in this country to help augment this work?
They're there. They're there.
Sorry.
What I can say that they're there, but I don't have that data and I've not delved much into that. But I know they're there.
One of our very good listeners on this show, Zachary, is in Nakuru, and he has a question that he'd like to ask. Zachary, good morning.
Oh, good morning. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Zachary.
Oh, you have invited very, very knowledgeable people there. And I really very much watch so many documentaries on YouTube about how these guys solve crimes, yeah? Like now there is one series called Dead Bodies Talk, yeah? That the dead bodies can tell stories, yeah? And they can defend themselves. And if you ask that guy, he can tell you that there's that race. But now the question that I wanted to particularly ask that lady, that is the advocacy lady, yeah? Is this, yeah?
Sarah.
Most people normally get their money. They say that the money is the most valuable thing to us. And I mostly tell people that I meet with, do you guys take care of your ID cards? Do you guys take care of your passport, yeah? Documents that basically define you, and they are hard documents that actually identify you. And then I go asking them, do you really guard these documents? Because someone can pick them and likely put you in a place of a crime by dropping them there. Yeah? And eventually, when the forensic experts come, they will actually pick such things. That guy will tell you that. And for you to be able to actually defend yourself, I was not there, to give an alibi that is really convincing, it's very hard. It's
so
very hard.
What question then do you want to ask Sarah?
Sarah, let me ask her, do you actually tell people that the money is not the most valuable thing that you carry around?
Okay.
It is your physical documents. And if they don't, can she assure us through now the program that she will start telling people to take their physical documents very, very seriously and guard them seriously?
Okay.
That's a very interesting question, but I think it still boils down to keep away from the crime scene, because if you're in the crime scene, that's when you lose your ID, and your ID is found by the CSI in the crime scene. So just keep away from the crime scene. If you're not helping, if you're not needed there, keep away, because that's when you lose your ID, you lose something else important. It's found there, and people think you're actually the criminal. Yes.
The question I think he's asking from the point of someone has stolen your ID card and used it in a crime and deliberately left it there to throw off Nguka and his team. When they land there, they say, in fact, if or even the first responders, if it's local police, in fact, he left his ID here. So we are going to look for Eric, and we are arraigned little and charge him with murder. That's what we always hear. So what advice would you give people, Nguka?
Okay, his question was a little bit off in that maybe your documentation might be left there. So I'm really trying to figure this out, because it happens. Maybe you might be near scene and you lose your documents or your phones. But what I like to tell members of public is that forensic investigations are systematic, they are analytical, and they follow a given procedure. It's not just guesswork where you do picky ponky and you have your guy. That just because you've picked someone's ID and you conclude that someone was murdered here, and then you conclude he's the murderer. No. Facts have to corroborate. and you have to piece together the forensic pieces that you're looking for. The pieces must match and they must fit, and it must be beyond reasonable doubt that so and so did this. Okay, in as far as his question is that then it means that you were in the scene of crime. Definitely, we'll get to you. You'll be questioned, and then we'll do our own investigations and try to see if placing you there, were you just there by chance? What is the relationship that you have? But we look into whatever is in the scene, because crime scene, we are not like, as we like to put it, we're not garbage collectors. We pick what has evidential value, what will help the case. You don't just pick everything that is the crime scene and then you table it up that, okay, we have the evidence. No. It must relate, it must be important, and it must help the case.
There's something that you had said earlier, I think, which also dovetails just into this. One of the reasons why you are advocating for people to avoid crime scenes is so that they do not also leave pieces of evidence there in such particular cases. It could be ID, it could be fingerprints, it could be fiber from the body, from clothes, anything. So this goes into it. But Inspector Nguka, there's something that happens. Once the first responder or the police come and they find, or even yourselves, once you come and find, for example, fingerprints and all, and you're starting now to invite people for questions to assist police with investigations. In this country, assist police with the investigations is lalandani for a while before CSI determines, oh yes, you actually are not the person we are looking for. So there's also another conversation of, to make sure you don't lalandani for no reason, avoid the crime scene.
Okay, you're bringing 2 points, but you're trying to dovetail them. But I've been in the service for some time, and the legal space has changed. Nowadays, the issue, if you arrest someone, you have to take him to court within 24 hours. So remember,
more time to investigate.
You have to give your reasons. You have to give your reasons before a competent court. Why you want more time? So. In as much as we don't want people inside the crime scenes, one of the reasons is that we may end up sorting you out and say, okay, you are just there because of your peradventure, your own issues. But then issues like, say, fingerprints, if you superimpose your prints on the actual offender, you see, you have already tampered with the evidence. We should have found the real culprit, but because your fingerprints are on top of him and we cannot see his fingerprints properly, we cannot develop his. We get yours. Now you see, already you have now tampered with the course of justice. So that is why you always it's best advised that just keep off. If you're not saving a life, keep off, and if you are getting into save life, make sure that you have that good reason and you follow the right pathway of saving that life.
Thank you. Let's take a break and say goodbye to our audience on KTN Home. We've been with us since the top of the hour. These conversations continue on SpiceFM every weekday morning, 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. We are around the country and we are also broadcasting around the world on SpiceFM KE. On Facebook, we live stream the show on Twitter and our website, www.spicefm.co.ke. Chief Inspector Arfaxad Nguka, Forensics Detective from the DCI, and Sarah Nyakeo, Assistant Program Officer, Communications and Advocacy at IMLU. Asanteni sana for joining us.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
All right, so it's coming up to the top of the hour as we say goodbye to our good guests this morning. This is Sarah Nyakeo of IMLU and Chief Inspector Arfaxad Nguka from the DCI. Sarah, your final message, both of you, to everybody who's listening.
I think I'll just like to answer the caller who called during the session. And I would just like to advise Kenyans that if you lose something, anything, just report. Because if your ID is found in a crime scene, if your Huduma number is found in a crime scene, you can always say, hey, I have an OB number. And if you have an OB number, the CSIs will know that you actually lost it and it was used by the criminal in the wrong way. And just my final words is that let's keep off crime scenes and let's avoid a situation where we'll go to court and we are told that you don't have evidence. That was the creation of the mind, because we've been in these situations before. So let's keep off the crime scenes and tell a friend to tell a friend that securing a crime scene is important to the dispense of justice. Yeah.
It's very, very important. Thank you very much for joining us. And this conversation we will continue having, just to have the communication out there, the importance of preserving a crime scene. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. Good morning. It's 9 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. ODM leader Raila Odinga is today expected to leave for Dubai. His traveling schedule comes at a time 2022 campaigns continue to heat up across the country. Odinga will be in the United Arab Emirates for a week. This is the second time in 4 months Odinga is flying to Dubai. In July this year, the former Prime Minister flew to the United Arab Emirates. The Anti-Corruption Court has been told that Kapsaret MP Oscar Sudi did not sit his Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams in 2006 as alleged. One of the top officials in the Kenyan National Examinations Council, Nabiki Enekashu, has told Judge Felix Kombo that Sudi did not register or take the exam at Highway High School in Nairobi. She was testifying in a case in which Sudi has been charged with forging a diploma certificate in business management purporting to be a genuine document issued by the Kenya Institute of Management. The residents of Magarini, Kilifi County and its environment continue to starve despite the government launching a plan to distribute food aid in the county. Residents say the distribution of food was not done fairly, with some claiming that it did not reach them. Some of those that received food aid said they received portions that would not last them during the drought season. Laikipia County government has condemned the alleged cover-up of the murder of Agnes Wanjiru, a 21-year-old mother who was killed by a British soldier in Nanyuki 9 years ago. Governor Ndiritu Muridi said the murder of Agnes Wanjiru in Nanyuki are distressing and unacceptable. He says that for one of the soldiers to murder a young mother and literally get away with it for 9 years is unthinkable and contemptuous of our hospitality. The county government demanded for justice for late Wanjiru, calling for quick action against the perpetrators of the crime. Now, international partners have expressed concern with the continued fighting in the town of Gurial in the federal member state of Galmudug in Somalia. The African Union mission in Somalia, Belgium, Canada, Denmark, Ethiopia, European Union, Finland, Germany, Intergovernmental Authority for Development, among others, say the conflict is not only causing severe humanitarian suffering to the people of the area, but it is also distracting from the urgent priorities of completing the electoral process and countering Al-Shabaab. Clashes between the Somali army and the Al-Sunnah wal Jamaa militia erupted Saturday and led to the death of 150 people over the past 3 days. According to the United Nations, another 100,000 people have been displaced. Now, Jamaican reggae star Etana is in the country ahead of the Pamoja Festival to be held in Nairobi at the Ngong West Coast waterfront on the 30th of October 2021. We caught up with her at the airport, and this is what she had to say about her song Malaika.
Malaika has a message to me that's deeper than just a man wanting to marry a woman, but not having enough. Because as a people, and especially throughout our journey and life in America, Jamaica, throughout the Caribbean, a lot of people started from nothing, went through a whole lot of hardship, and came all the way up from nothing to a whole lot. And that is what Malaika means to me. You know, not just about one man wanting to marry a woman, not having enough. There are many people across the world who started from nothing, had to marry, you know, in nothing and build it to something great.
Standard Group Vibes Radio is the media sponsor.
Vibes Radio, go and play the music, go and keep up the vibes. Yes to the vibes then. I'm Etana and you're locked into Vibes Radio. Thank you to everyone everybody here in Kenya, we are ready to perform. The show is going to be a show, and I am ready for the party. Where you say no curfew, we party till morning. Ready? All right, I'm ready, because I am not afraid. Even though you're broke, I'm not the sort of person. Oh no, I'm ready. Let's go.
And we are ready. Be sure to come and enjoy yourself, meet with Vibes Radio host, and shake a leg throughout the night. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto.
.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
All right, we're still in traffic hour this morning, and we're still seeing some of it on Uhuru Highway this morning. I do not know what pinched Uhuru Highway, but that fever has been there for some time, and it looks like it's going to continue. We also see just around the roundabouts that there's some issues, especially because of construction going on. Likely to see traffic situations continue for some time. All right, the lady offering you that free passage, Bagadiwe, is not happening today. Absolutely packed, and it's feeding off of Langata Road and also Ngong Road itself. Then going on into the city is looking pretty sticky, especially for now. That industrial area circuit also is quite a thing. Okay, so those are trouble spots this morning. Mombasa Road not looking too bad. That Imara Daima stretch, remember, renewed construction as of yesterday going on there, and that is why you see that traffic there this morning. But it shouldn't be too bad. Okay, Jogo Road looking a little bit better now. Kiambu Road, traffic almost gone. Thika Superhighway, they're working on it, but we're going to have to wait and see. The bypass is still looking pretty good, folks. Use them this morning. And let's look in about half an hour what it looks like. But for now, still in traffic hour. All right? SpiceFM KE, that's how you can get in touch on Twitter. Just in case anything rings through, talk to us via text on 40127.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to...
My mic is not on. It's 7 minutes after 9. A very good morning to you. Thank you very much for keeping it locked right here on Spice FM. This is The Situation Room, and today we have a Turkana proverb.
Aburo niepi, ngesi eriri emun. I am seeking assistance. Somebody who comes from that part of Kenya and speaks this language. Kindly tell us whether I'm speaking some language that is found somewhere out in space in the solar system, or I am actually saying something that makes sense in that language.
You know, the county commander, Kisii County police should be able, because he's a Turkana man, should be able to tell us that. We can ask him if you're doing it right.
Actually, point.
Yeah.
Point.
We can ask him.
Yes, we should.
All right. What does it mean? What's it in English?
English, when the leopard comes to you, the club in your neighbor's house won't drive him off.
Okay.
Never mind. No.
Yes? Something came into...
Fimbo ya mbali haimui nyoka. Okay. So let's have a conversation about the youth. So the IEBC has been conducting, there's a very long term that they're using, but it's a voter registration exercise campaign for the last 1 month. They are targeting to register at least 6 million new voters. They are very far from that target. And we were even having that conversation yesterday and even before, we were asking ourselves, what's happening. It's become a cause of concern for the IEBC, for other leaders as well, because it's even part of conversations in the newspapers. We will look at what is being discussed here shortly. But joining us in the studio for that conversation is Nerima Wako Ojiwa. She's the Executive Director of Siasa Place. Good to have you again on the show, Nerima.
Thank you.
Karibu sana.
Thank you very much.
And then for the first time in the show is Hesbon Ndungu. He's the Executive Director, Africa Youth Trust. Welcome, Hesbon.
Thank you very much, Eric.
What's Africa Youth Trust?
Well, Africa Youth Trust is the youth-led development and advocacy organization that is just looking at how the youth can have their voice, how they are able to put their footprint in the development space, and ensure that their ideas do not just come to the table, they make sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that is basically what we are doing, and that is what Africa Youth Trust does.
What is Siasa Place?
Siasa Place is an NGO, also youth-led. We educate the youth on the Constitution, and we push for youth inclusion in governance processes and political processes as well. And so participation is key for us. And we work in 13 counties.
Okay.
13? Why?
Because those are the ones that we can reach at the moment.
Why?
Because of funding.
It's your capacity so far.
Yes.
And how did you choose these particular counties?
13.
It's the youth who invite us. We actually get letters from young people who feel that they are not engaged well by the county government and they would like us to intervene. So we get letters from the youth who request us to come into the county, and then we partner with those very youth who invite us.
So essentially these are young people who form themselves into groups.
Mm-hmm.
And so you work with these groups
Mm-hmm.
of young people within the counties.
Absolutely.
And the list of things that you say you help them to grow into are the same thing. So could one argue then that in all the 13 counties you work in, that it's a replication of the same values and the same subject matter, that, or is there a twist and turn depending on the peculiarity or the interest of that particular county?
It's the same values, but then the methods and avenues are different. For Busia County, the youth groups decided to form a steering committee. But then for Kericho County, they formed the Kericho Youth Network, which is now a combination of about 50 youth groups coming together under one umbrella, while in Busia, they formed the committee now after engagement with us, and that's what the committee does, is follow up on the county budget processes. So we do public participation, following the budget cycle, but then the methods that they utilize are different and the areas of issues are different. For Kericho, it's the schools. We're looking at abolition blocks and dispensaries, and then for Busia County, it's education and access to employment. So the issues are different.
And your organization?
Well, we have a reach in 13 as well. I don't know how it coincides. And of course, also regional. In the regional, we have projects that we're implementing in East and Southern Africa region. So basically what happens is we have country context, county and country context for each and every county and each and every county in the processes that we are, in the activities and the projects that we're implementing.
So suffice to say for both that there's a touch on what's going on with youth in this country, whether it's social, economic, or political, right? I mean, that is clear, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So what right now is the feeling? What is the attitude? Before we even get into the why and the what, what's the attitude or the feeling around what is happening in the country right now, politically, as concerns participation?
I think I can take a stab at that one first, because we're conducting a survey which Africa Youth Trust also participated in. It's still in the drafting, but what we can see is the issues that are bothering young people right now. Number one was high taxes. And then number two, it was unemployment. Then number three, corruption. So even when you have conversations with youth, you would think with the media, it would be politics. But that's not their main That's not their main. It's about how am I going to survive today? It's about how am I going to find employment? How am I going to be able to afford food? That's their right now. So even when we're engaging on the issues of politics and we're seeing the campaigning happening before the legally provided campaign period, it's a lot of noise. And it's a lot of noise very early. And that's why I'm not surprised with the turnout in terms of going to get their voters' cards, because it still feels very far away. August is too far away right now for me. I'm just trying to figure out December. And am I going to even be in Nairobi or at home, or are we going to travel? Not maybe. COVID, things just opened. People moved to a lot of other hassles, and a lot of people dropped out of school. Some are still trying to remain in school. So issues are different.
I mean, it's curious when you say that among the most pressing needs from the youth, number one is tax.
Yes.
And then number two, unemployment. Number three, corruption.
Yes.
Explain the tax bit.
Well, it's very simple, because even for me, I have a 11-month-old, and I felt when the formula jumped up, I felt it. Or even when we talk about food, a lot of people are looking at it as not just paying taxes as income tax, because a lot of us are not paying that kind of tax. They're looking at it as the value-added tax. Even when we look at our foods or the kind of prices, when we look at cooking oil, there's a lot of complaints there. When we look at the price of unga, there's a lot of complaints there, bread. So even the difference of 10 shillings, it is felt.
Yes.
And there's even the complaints of electricity, power being too high. I've been having discussions with people how they are now finding other ways to pay for power. And I look dumb for actually paying for power. And, so those are kind of the, conversations people are having, because they're trying to find other ways of saving because they just don't have the money to be talking about wasting.
I said I found it curious because, as you've explained it, it's high cost of living. But they have translated it to high tax. Why? Why not say high cost of living and say high tax?
Because I think also the framing of the conversations that we've been having, we've been seeing a lot of debate happening and people wondering why parliamentarians haven't been doing something about the finance bill and things like that. So I'll say that there's a bit of an interpretation issue in terms of understanding the differences between high cost of living and high tax, but it's just easier to frame it as high tax as compared to the high cost of living. Because if they look at their lifestyles, they don't necessarily say that it's high costing. People don't live in their own houses, it's rented spaces. And a lot of people are sharing those spaces. So they wouldn't even equate it to this living of mine is high cost. For them, they're thinking, I'm doing the best I can to save. From what I can see, it's the taxes that are making my life difficult.
Right. Where are these conversations happening, and in what spaces are we looking at here? Or is it the same thing from you that, the politics is, let it just be over here for now, and let me deal with these other issues right now. We'll talk about who you want to be the leader of the country when the time has come.
Right. So what I will say is that these conversations are happening in different spaces. For example, we run a digital civic campaign, civic education campaign. And during the engagement with the young people, we have had over 200,000. They put aside the major issues and they break down these issues into their daily lives. You see, for us to get to a point where we have a team of young people that form 75%, and out of the 75%, 70% is disillusioned, and just very highly disillusioned, then it tells you the situation is in this space. What do I mean? I mean, there are young people who've been out there for the last couple of electoral cycles, and the generation right before us. They gave their all in 2007, 2008. There's another batch that came in 2012, gave their all, 2012, 2013. We saw another one in 2017, 2018, giving their all. And all this are coming from a space of, you're the future leaders. You're the future leaders. You're the future leaders. when the reality hits them, we are in 2021, and as we look through the journey, there has been some crazy political realignments and transitions that have necessitated reality to stick home. You realize that COVID came in March and affected everything that every young person was planning for. The economy took 1.7 jobs away from these young people. What do we expect more? It's up to them now to sit down and think through and realize, okay, so why is electing a president a big deal if for the longest time we've been complaining and asking for them to, open up our country, for us to be able to go out and do what we want to do. And there has been no kind of commitment or response. While on the political class, we have seen business as usual kind of conversations. So when we sit and when we engage with these young people and look at the realities on the ground, I mean, a packet of unga is 120 something. A liter of petrol is 129 after the 6 shilling waiver. And this trickles down to them. You see, for that young man who's down there, does not have an alternative way of, finding these things. The only alternative is go to the shop, to your kawaida shop, the kadogo economy that we have all seen thrive our communities and for example, the settlements we have in Nairobi. I mean, if that is the only place you get, that trader does not enjoy the economies of scale to bring in things in bulk and enjoy huge discounts. So they pass the cost down to who?
To the youth, to the consumer.
Yeah, to
majority
that consumer
of whom are the youth.
To that youthful
There's
consumer.
something you've said there which I want to disagree with.
Okay.
That because of all these things, the reality has hit home. Maybe it's the understanding of the reality, but I'm saying if with all those things, if there's no connection that this is because of challenges in governance, then the reality hasn't hit home. If you cannot equate high taxes to governance and leadership, if you cannot equate job opportunities and lack thereof to governance and leadership, if you cannot equate corruption to governance and leadership, how can we say the reality has hit home?
I want to think, and maybe you will correct me, and Bonamuga and Nerima will also add if I am wrong. Reality has hit home. Right now, we see more young people coming out to question in terms of responsiveness of the public services that they are getting, because we've had the conversation about medical services, health, education, and of course the high debt that we're experiencing as a country as a result of borrowing for infrastructural development. So that is the awakening that we're talking about when we say reality has hit home.
How does that awakening manifest?
Well, when you
if people are not participating in political spaces, if we are talking about the same way we are explaining and saying that, so you wanting to become a president does not really affect me. Why should I really be bothering about you becoming a president? I'll think about you in July next year, just a month to the election. That's why I'm losing the conversation here.
Different spaces.
That there's reality sinking in, and there is apathy towards electing better leadership.
Well, you've brought in a very strong word that I thought I will also talk about, and that is in apathy. And when we talk about apathy, we are talking about what I introduced the conversation with, disillusionment. These people have realized that we've just been a platform. We've just been there for a stepping stone towards each and every other conversation or electoral cycle. And the answer or the opposite word of apathy for me would be jobs. Do we all take note of that? What has been missing is how the government is able to kill the apathy bit of it by introducing opportunities that will ensure that these young people get a livelihood, because that is what we are all missing. That is what we are all struggling for. That is why we wake up every morning to go out and position ourselves or do whatever it is we are going to do so that we bring in something back at home.
Nerima, is there a connect? Because if we look at the situation the way it is, then again it is clear that these things could be turned around if you had good governance, right? The high cost of living that you're talking about, the unemployment issues, because again, the job of government is not to create these things. The job of government is to create an environment conducive for these things to thrive, right? Now, if you have a government that is not doing those things, then should there not be a connect with, then I must participate in this process that will ensure that there is a government in place to take care of these things that I suffer from today. Does that connect exist?
The connector exists, but then it's in very small pockets because we are talking about a constitution. Yeah, it's 11 years old, but we're also talking about it existing outside education. People were not really taught this constitution in school. When do you interact with it? It's not taught in church. So by the time it's coming in, if you're 18, unless you go out of your way to get access to it and read it on your own vocation, then you will know what's within the constitution. So I believe that it gives people direct power, which it's also arguable because there are a lot of loopholes that we have begun to see existing. Because even when you look at the frameworks for public participation, there's a lot of flowery words, but then people have found ways to bypass. So yes, it's there within the constitution, but it doesn't necessarily mean that the leadership is utilizing those avenues to the best of the public. So that's where now civil society organizations have sort of come in, but we're also talking about a space that is underfunded and will continue to be underfunded because COVID has actually cut down aid. So it's not being supported by government. Very few people who do civil society work are supported directly by government, very few. So those are the challenges that exist. And even when we talk about the kind of participation, I've also interacted with people who are in leadership and they don't even know their role, understand their role. So we're talking about education for the public and education for individuals who have been appointed and elected. So that's the gap. And it's something that as we continue to do the work that we do and there's more awareness, then we'll begin to see change. Because something as simple as Article 35, which is access to information, we have written letters to receive public information from, say, a county government, and we have been met with force, where they're like, no, we're not going to let you have that access. What do you mean?
What do you want it for?
Yeah. You know, so even that aspect of understanding transparency, accountability is a whole culture shift and change. And even when we talk about young people's engagement, let's remember, I've been in counties where youth will not speak at a forum until you ask, okay, this forum is for you, why are you not speaking? And I've had a young man come and tell me, I'm not 35 yet. You know, when I'm 35 and over, I am considered now an elder because now I have children, I have my own boma. So now I can discuss issues of community. But as long as I am young, it is not my place. And so when you have that aspect of culture, where even in African culture, we look at elders for advice, for leadership. Even with our politics, the Council of Elders, they play a massive role. And then we're here saying with the Constitution, no, everybody has an opportunity.
Erema,
Yes.
do this Council of Elders really play a major role?
Yes, they do. Otherwise, we wouldn't be wearing funny costumes. We wouldn't be watching politicians trying to impress them and going and sitting on little stools with 3 legs saying that they're elders if they were useless.
Let me ask you, so which group makes the other relevant?
Between the politician and the
elders,
The
yes.
elders.
Which
It's
one
a
can
symbiotic
survive?
relationship.
Which one can survive without the other?
It's a symbiotic relationship. If politicians could survive without anyone, they would do.
Yeah.
Where they see that they need these ones to give themselves, more mileage, and they look for the connect, and they amplify it.
You see where I'm going with this is, when we talk about what the youth understand from what Nerima and her group have done is, I was looking at that order of things. When you talk about taxes, and then you talk about jobs, then corruption, each of those incidents that I mentioned are not the problem. They are consequences. So if the youth just understand the consequences and they don't understand what's bringing it about, how far removed do you think they're going to be from actually internalizing what needs to be done? Because, and I was concerned about corruption being third, because the manifestation of corruption, which actually points to impunity, it's a malignant problem that we have in the country. And it contributes to very many of these problems that we talk about. You ask for information and someone tells you get lost. It's impunity. You want to start something and they're asking, who are you? It's same attitude. Now, if they don't internalize it, what then the youth end up doing is propagating the same thing that they're complaining against. It's like when their turn comes, they'll do exactly the same thing, if not worse.
They're looking for the opportunity. They're waiting to be 35.
Yes, to do the same thing.
Waiting to be 35 so that you're not going to say, okay, now I'm 35, I understand that times are changing, we should listen to the youth more. They'll become 35 and say,
okay,
it's my time to speak. You shut up. You're below 35.
Wait until you're 35.
Yeah, wait until you're 35 so that you may come and speak. Let's continue this conversation after the break. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, the Situation Room on SpiceFM and online. We have in the studio with us Nurema Wako Ojiwa. She's the Executive Director of Siasa Place, and Hesbon Dongo, Executive Director of the Africa Youth Trust. We are talking about the missing youth voice and the missing youth votes. Why is it that when IBC rolls out a campaign to register as many as 6 million new voters, a huge target of which is youthful people, only 800,000 have turned up to register now? And there are only how many days to go? 4 plus 3? About 7 days to go. It's 9:30. This is Kenya's biggest conversation. It continues after the break. Good morning.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. Spice up your life.
On your mark. Set.
The Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon is back. Virtual Marathon and Elite Marathon. Sign up for the virtual race at 1,000 shillings only and run from wherever you are or from select hotspots around Nairobi. To register, visit www.nairobimarathon.com. Choose your preferred distance from 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, 21 kilometers, or 42 kilometers, and decide the day you will run between 25th and 31st October 2021. To track your run, download and use the Strava app. When you register, you will receive a race kit that includes a shirt, medal, and bag. Kits will be collected at either KICC or at selected hotspots. All proceeds from the marathon go to help young people learn, earn, and grow through our Future Makers program. Join us and let us run as one. Standard Group are proud to be the official media partners of the Stanchart Marathon 2021.
The weather with
All right, partly
Spice
sunny conditions
FM.
in Nairobi this morning. We will see highs of 25 and lows of 14 today. In Nakuru, partly sunny conditions at 19, highs of 25 and lows of 14. 14 will also be the low. In Nyeri, where it continues to rain, at 19. And in Eldoret, sunny conditions going to highs of 25 and lows of 12. It's mostly sunny in Kisumu. We'll see highs of 31, lows of 19, while in Kakamega, sunny conditions at 25, highs of 29 and lows of 15. It's raining in Mombasa still at 26, we'll see highs of 29. And Malindi, rain showers still, highs of 29 and lows of 25. In Kampala, mostly sunny conditions at 24, highs of 27 and lows of 18. Dar es Salaam, light rain at 29, highs of 31 and lows of 23. Johannesburg is cloudy at 14, highs of 21 and lows of 13, while in Lagos it's mostly sunny at 25, highs of 31 and lows of 25. It's raining in Kinshasa at 26, highs of 31 and lows of 23. Beijing is sunny at 22, we'll see highs of 22, just that, and lows of 6, while it's clear in Paris at 8, it'll go to highs of 17 and lows of 7. It's cloudy in London at 15, highs of 17 and lows of 13, and New York is waking up to rain showers at 13, highs of 15 and lows of 9.
Welcome to Spice FM, the best exclusive radio station bringing you the best mix of the best music ever.
The Imara Daima stretch on Mombasa Road is what will give the most of a headache this morning. But apart from that, looks pretty good coming off Mombasa Road. It's looking a little bit easier on Langata Road as well. But Uhuru Highway will continue to be that sore thumb in traffic through most parts of the morning. Keeping an eye on that for you. We thought it was getting better on the thicker superhighway. Well, I guess not. It's still quite heavy just past Survey. And where traffic, it seems to have disappeared on Kiambu Road, it's back like Houdini. Okay, so it looks like we're not out of traffic hour just yet. Have to keep an eye on these things, at least in those areas for now. Will you help us do that? SpiceFM KE on Twitter. Through the morning, text 40127.
Spice up your life. Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself.
It's 26 minutes to 10. We continue the conversation, the missing youth vote and the missing youth voice. We have in the studio with us Hesbon Ndungu, Executive Director of Youth Africa Youth Trust, and Nerima Wako Ojiwa, Executive Director of Siasa Place. What is it? Why are the youth seemingly disinterested with participating in this current voter registration exercise? I want to ask you, Nerima, from what you have observed, and you mentioned something about, the Constitution and how the people who just turned 18 or who are now 25, how they actually interact with the Constitution through the education system. I want to ask, do you think the youth are politically literate?
No,
Do we have political literacy among the youth? Then I'm going to ask about everybody else, but let's start with just the youth.
I think the youth are very aware. If anything, I wouldn't even say that our voice is missing. We're engaged. They know the leaders. They like politics. We're a very political country. And even when you compare us to our region, Kenya has some of the most active young people when it comes to political conversations. Whether they're utilizing their energies in the right spaces, that's a whole other conversation. Where there is a gap is now the rule of law and understanding how the Constitution protects them and the ways that it can protect them. Because once you don't understand that, then it's just a book, which frankly is useless unless it's utilized. So I think that that's where the gap is, not necessarily politics, but understanding the rule of law.
With political literacy, I'm looking at it from not just knowledge of that there is a government and there are three arms of government and then there are citizens and citizens elect a government, but just understanding the connection. What is the role of government? What is the role and responsibility of citizen? What is the role of each arm of government, of each office in government?
No.
And getting to know, to connect between that and your life on a daily basis.
There's a little bit of confusion in terms of the specific roles of each arm, but there's even more confusion in, say, the MCA, the senator, the MP, the governor. Their roles. There's confusion there and what they can provide. But I do believe that the youth engage because MCAs, which is supposed to be the ward level, the one where they interact with most often, the turnover is very high. So that shows you that young people observe and they know whether someone is coming in for a second term or not. Right now, a person is very aware when it comes to the MCA, whether they're coming in or not. When it goes on higher up that ladder, that's where now it becomes a little bit more shaky. So even when we talk about the different arms of government, they do understand the executive, the judiciary, but then their specific functions, I would say no. I would say no.
Husband, how would you compare Kenyan youth to youth across the continent?
Well, the Kenyan youth have some good level of political literacy. However, there are also some levels of challenges in terms of understanding specific roles that are considered complex, and this is informed by the transition from the constitution before the 2010 constitution. Yeah, because you'd see that issues, for example, health, they will easily go back to their MP because that's where they grew up knowing that when you have an issue, you go, that's where you take your issue. While that was devolved and taken to a different
office.
Yes. So I would say that our level of awakening is probably at a 40%. A lot more needs to be done for us to get it to be all fully aware and literate. Yeah.
So, I mean, now there's the buzz. Where we are currently, there's the buzz, all right? The youth are not engaging in this political process, in this voter process, because we cannot run away from the facts that come from the IEBC. That you said, okay, we want to register a lot more. We want to have, of those numbers that we register, a higher percentage of that will be youth engagement. We're not seeing that happening. Now, if there needs to be this connect, if there needs to be this engagement, what would you say, Erima, that needs to happen for that to occur? Because we cannot run away from the importance of having youth involved in this electoral process coming up next year. It's important. What needs to happen then to make the connect for engagement?
Yeah, it's going to be a lot more than just announcing that this is the drive and show up. Because, I mean, there are places where you will find youth, including even activating at universities and things like that, where people would just easily pass by and register. But also, IBC has been talking about this drive, but then have they been doing a good job in terms of sharing the communication of how, okay, this is now, it's important. And, there's a way that campaigns can be done where it's so repetitive and in your face and all over, where you're like, okay, this is the time, this is now when I need to do
Gotta
it.
do this.
But it's not happened that way. And then also, we're talking about, we're asking where the youth not going yet, but we also forget that we're also a country where we pay taxes on the exact dead day, the last day. I mean, even things have to be extended. Everything that government says we need to do, they extend, including things that were illegal, like Huduma number. So we never really do anything early. And we don't have that early bad kind of registration. So even culturally, I believe that's why I'm saying toward closer to August is when we're going to see now sort of that drive or peak for people to go register. But also, why? Right now we've been seeing a lot of difficulties. We've been talking about COVID. We've been talking about the economy. I mean, really, I need to be concerned about elections right now. I mean, my voter's card right now. No, not really. I don't think it's a priority for many. So many are still debating, am I even going to vote? But we have to move away from youth are not engaging. There are a number of youth who are engaging right now as we speak. Even when we look at political parties, the parties that I know the people who handle the social media handles, and majority of them are not over 30 years old. When we talk about the campaign teams, I deal with PAs all the time. Majority of them, again, are youth. When we talk about people who do a lot of the mobilizing in these political parties, it is the youth. So there are youth who are engaged throughout the process, throughout the year, behind the scenes doing a lot of the work. It's not that all the youth have taken a back seat when it comes to the political engagement in our country at this time. There are a number who are very involved, and if it wasn't for them, there wouldn't be any activities when we talk about politics today.
Rima, a two-pronged question, and dovetailing on what you're saying. Do you think, husband, you as well, do you think the youth actually take themselves seriously? Because the conversations we keep having
Qualify the question. Maybe,
Yes.
What do you mean by taking yourself seriously?
Taking yourself seriously.
Like, do I know I'm alive?
No. Do you know that you are an important cog in this wheel called Kenya, and that you're an important wheel in this process you call politics? Are you an important cog in this wheel called economic development? Are you important? That's taking yourself seriously. Because the conversations we keep hearing is like the youth waiting for something to be done for them. Okay? You don't hear enough conversation about this is what they have done and this is where they've put it, and they've told them, guys, look.
Oh, this is the product of the so-called engagement.
Yes, exactly.
So the youth are engaged.
Where? Where? In fact, that was the second level of my question. I was going to ask, Esbon, this thing that you do, what does the completion of it and the success of it look like? Then that's question one. Question 1B. Where have we seen where have you seen this success?
You have some time.
Okay. Who takes it first? Hesbon.
All right. I will say this, and I would want to probably give some background context on this conversation and on that question as I answer it. In the most recent past, the only thing that any smart politician needed to do was ensure that majority of the young people are drunk on the voting night, so that in the morning what they are doing is wameamka wanaenda kutoa lock, and they do not even participate fully in the election in the past. But this one is totally transitioning through the involvement that we have seen. We've seen more young people in the recent past take up more technocrat roles to be able to steer the conversation from a certain point of view so that they can also learn. So yes, young people are currently taking themselves seriously and they understand the role that they have. What we just need to do is to ensure that we push them a little more so that they can shed off the apathy bit.
Who is
so that
we?
they can shed up.
Who's we that is pushing the youth?
By we, I mean the civil society, I mean our media, I mean our political spaces, because we need to have even our political parties need to have a more focused approach in their engagement and in their empowerment.
Who's going to make them do this?
Well, what is going to make them do this is, if we go back to the probably your generational times, there's something we used to call
probably it. Just say back to the generation.
Back to the generation
Thank
time.
you very much.
We used they used to recite
of old people.
Yes,
Yes. Go on.
they used to recite something we used to call the loyalty pledge, where they would pledge their loyalty to the president and the nation and all that kind of thing.
That's no longer done.
And
It's
this
no longer
thing
done?
lost its meaning. If today you walk into the streets and ask, if you find two who will recite it fully, then you will have made progress. And so these are some of the things that we need now to inculcate back into the system, into our new culture and into our new livelihoods, so that we understand properly and, pick it up to the level best. What does success at the end look like?
And where has it looked like, where we can say, in this place, if you
Case
go
study.
there, case study, you will find that success I was talking about.
Wow. First is when we have an awakening, where we have young people who are able to lobby for policies that are friendly to themselves. And I would want to give a good scenario that we have achieved as the youth serving organizations in Kenya, when we had somebody appointed to the board of NEA, National Employment Authority, and the team came up and did a petition, and the petition was the revocation of that, so that a more suitable young person could have been given the opportunity. It's work in progress as well for that, but that one bit was one of the key success.
Edmund, let me explain to you why I asked that question, okay?
All right.
Nerima? What percentage of the population of this country, Kenya, are referred to as youth?
75%.
Precisely. Now, meaning majority. Doesn't matter what you do, they are the vast majority. Of this 75%.
Absolute majority.
Thank you, Eric. Absolute. 75%, that's A. But, now, of this percentage, what percentage would you say are of the age where they can actually vote?
18 and above.
Yes. Let me even give it 50%. Okay, just for purpose of discussion, all right? We have a system in this country where when somebody becomes president, they have to be elected and they have to get 50 plus 1% of the votes that are cast, isn't it? Now, the guy gets 50% of the vote. Total vote, 17 million, he gets 50%. They become president. Of that vote that we are speaking about, we are saying people who fall in the category of youth comprise even over 50% of that vote already.
Yeah.
Meaning, you are a serious lobby group, in theory. When you take yourself seriously, you look at your strengths and you put it into operation. The participation of all the ills that you see, from where I sit, the youth have helped perpetrate and accentuate the positions that they keep lamenting about. You know why? The leaders that we choose are just people, they're just regular human beings with regular mistakes and regular weaknesses. But in the absence of the support that the large groups of young people give them, the support of what young people keep seeking from them, do you really think if social media didn't exist, these young people you are saying are employed would have been employed by people in leadership? My age can't have no clue about these things. We are not sure whether it is, what's Erasmus's real name?
Instagram.
Okay, Instagram. Okay. Facebook, we've gotten to understand. This other one we use every day, Netflix. What's it called? WhatsApp. Yes, WhatsApp. See?
Now there's TikTok.
Okay.
It's not a clock.
Yes, and you're saying, so what time is on the TikTok? They don't say it's not really a clock. It's now, the power of social media is profound. So anybody who's in that space and the role they play ought to also be profound. But is it? It isn't. So what am I saying? When I ask, are you taking yourself seriously? I am saying the power that the youth have is a power that is completely not underutilized.
So the question is not derogatory, CT.
No, it's
not like, come on, are you even taking it?
No.
It's like, do you realize and understand, really,
the power
that you have by virtue of the fact that
you get
there
it.
is to see that, do you understand the monumental things that could actually be done
that you can
if
do.
this group of people actually realized it first and then acted upon it? You mean to tell me that if you were in an area whereby the youth are realizing and understanding that power, you can't come and do any kind of nonsense and they will let it go
You
fly
case
by.
study example. You know, Central Kenya is such a big issue when it comes to elections. Numbers.
There's also something else, City. The grouping of that demographic. Okay? In our system,
yes,
how do we group ourselves? We don't group ourselves by the demographic of age. We don't group ourselves by the demographic of social state as well. Now, this current conversation, the current political space is trying to bring that, and it's being fought back into, no, you can't divide the country between the rich and the poor. No, that's very dangerous for the country. But you see, it's demographics.
It is demographics.
Right? The social stratification of the people. We don't do that in terms of youth and non-youth. So that's why, probably, that demographic has not been able to come together and look at issues homogeneously and say, this, we, the youth, can therefore negotiate. Because we talk about youth, but hardly do people sit and say, we, the youth. It is we, Nairobi, we, urban, we, Mount Kenya, we, Luo, we
middle class.
And then we start calling ourselves educated, middle class. We have a job, we're earning a salary, we are urban. And these guys are shags people.
And we are driving a Subaru.
That's it. So there's no point where we talk about, the youth saying, we, the people who are 18 to 35, are participating in a political process, and we can then come together and negotiate, despite having so many youth groups.
So you don't even have what now you would use the fancy hoity-toity term caucuses around the country, where it doesn't matter your social strata, doesn't matter that we know and we understand that, look here, because of where we are placed in terms of numbers, then we can go across. It doesn't matter where you're from, who you are, who your father is, that you can be involved in the process by virtue of the fact that you've understood that you can actually come together. So then my question is, it sounds nice to say, but then how will you get to that point?
The political class has ensured that this doesn't happen.
Yes.
Political class has ensured we don't look at ourselves in terms of age, gender. The women are the majority of voters in this country.
By far.
We never look at, going into an election, gender.
Never.
Remove that conversation. It's always about the tribe. Because tribe, we can manage. This other thing, it's beyond us. Gender, we can't control. Youth now, we can't control. Social status, we cannot control. When the Ruto campaign was starting to bring that conversation, do you see how fast it was brought down? When Sonko was trying to bring down conversation, how fast do we bring it down?
The establishment understands
we just look at it
power.
in terms of, well, hujui kura za Nairobi mahali ziko. Kura za Nairobi ziko mashinani. What are we saying?
So is it possible to disrupt that narrative? Is it possible from where you are both? Is it possible to now have that conversation in that manner and say, you know what, it has been hinged on tribe for the longest time. It has been hinged on 1, 2, 3. Can it then shift? Knowing these dynamics, we know them. Can it shift?
It's a work in progress, and that's why both of our organizations are under the Youth Serving Organizations Consortium. The idea, right now, we have a network of 22 groups, and it covers 36 counties. But the idea is, even during this period, we are coming together, collecting together. They're actually also working on a manifesto, which is youth-centered, and it coming from young people themselves rather than leaders coming and enforcing it on us. So it's there, but it's work in progress. It's difficult work. It's not something that's easy to do, and we also want to expand it to make sure that we cover the entire country. But yes, we're met with a lot of pushback, and even sometimes we've had cases where people have impersonated us and done things that, writing to very important offices just to create this image of us in a very negative light. So it's something that we're working to do, but it's very, very futuristic, because like you've mentioned, the kind of politics that we are in and we do, and the kind of organizing that we do is centered around that. And this has taken years of work to do. And Mshai Mwangola wrote a very good piece on how young people have been involved since 1944 in our country to date. And she mentions the Uhuru generation, the lost generation. And so you can see that we are a product of young people's engagement and sort of losing their mark, and also having this godfather syndrome in our politics as well, and how this voting in tribal blocks has now enriched our politics. So talking about now removing that and moving away from that means it's going to take decades of the work that we're doing and the kind of thinking that we have. But I think it's possible because even when we look at ourselves, we are interconnected to at least 5 tribes right now. It's no longer 20 years ago. You are all from the same tribe, the same community. That's changing.
Can I ask a question to both of you? The empowerment narrative of the wheelbarrow movement, it is an empowerment narrative. I mean, it is an empowerment narrative versus the universal grant narrative of 6,000. How do the youth respond to this? Because those are things that your members, the caucuses that you work with would ask.
If I answer, that's my opinion.
Yes, it's your opinion that I want, actually. It's your opinion that I want.
They're missing the mark. I believe that it's throwing small pieces of candy to distract the public. It doesn't really solve the issues, and we're asking young people to ask the main questions. And even for me, when I'm in those spaces where I ask about the policies. I ask about what truly is this bottom up and how is it going to make an impact? Or even this 6,000 shillings, where are you going to get it from? We're already a country that is in complete utter debt, and we owe too much toward aid, and it will continue to be so, especially when we see this kind of infrastructure and roads going up at the speed that they're going up. So 6,000 just makes no sense to me as to where it will come from. But that's also because I come from a place of privilege where I'm able to research and ask and question, and I have the time to do that. People are concerned about, living every day, like I mentioned, and they don't have the time to ask that. And so when they hear something that sounds great, they want to believe it. And it's also a sense of hope, because that's what politics is. It's to sell hope, even if it's fake.
From my personal point of view, the only bottom-up approach or narrative that I will buy is that one that encourages young people, especially those who are in farming, to stop selling the avocado at 5 shillings and package it and, export it and sell a piece at 50 shillings in whatever market that there is. That is a bottoms-up approach that I would, try and pick up as an individual. On the other 6,000 shilling question, well, some of our children, when they were joining primary school, were promised laptops. I have not seen. So I don't know if this is another unkept political promise that is going to come back to haunt the political class, or that is going again to come and bring in
all manner of
yes, because what it looks like to me is just your normal political mobilization, where you're given your 200 shillings to attend a rally or something of sort. And to that point, that is my personal opinion.
Hezbon and Nerima, thank you very much, guys, for coming. As the conversations gear up towards the elections, we'll invite you again and again. So let's hear today's proverb from City Muga.
Right. Aburo nie pingesi, eriri emun. Now, I have no idea whether the leopard is the emun, whether the neighbor is the niepi. I have no idea. But this is the English translation. When the leopard comes to you, the club at your neighbor's house won't drive him off.
Bas. Thank you very much for tuning into the Situation Room today. We're always glad that you are able to join us. Join us again tomorrow. We wish you a lovely day. It's now 10 a.m.
Spice up your life. The latest news from around the world. 94.4 Spice FM.
This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The Ministry of Education has officially started implementing the